All right, let's see. Did that work? Let me know if you can see and or hear me, chat. Anything? Oh, maybe not. Oh, thank you, Aaron. Okay, cool. It's so hard to figure this out. The thing says that it's live, but I don't always trust it, and sometimes it's not correct. Welcome everybody back to Paleontologizing. Welcome back to Eastern Utah. Welcome back to the earliest Cretaceous period in the Cedar Mountain Formation. Welcome back to summer fieldwork. I'm glad you're here. Yesterday's stream was very short and pretty disjointed. We're still getting things set up. We're just at the very beginning of the season out here. Hopefully today's stream will be a little bit longer and a little bit less chaotic. So I'm glad you're here. If anyone's here for the very first time, allow me to introduce myself real quick. My name is Danny Anduza. I'm a dinosaur paleontologist. And believe it or not, this is how I make my living, is by doing live streams like this. As a paleontologist, I study fossils. As a dinosaur paleontologist, I study dinosaur fossils in particular. And that's what I'm doing out here with the Utah Geological Survey. We're out here near the town of Moab, Utah. I say near, but we're probably like 30 or 40 or 50 miles away from Moab. I'm not sure exactly how far. We're out in the middle of the desert, digging in this quarry. We just got the shade tarps mostly set up yesterday, finished that kind of this morning. And now we're just starting to get down into the bone layer, where we're finding the bones of some of these cool earliest Cretaceous dinosaurs, some iguanodontids and some ankylosaurs. As we continue for the next 3 weeks, you'll get better acquainted with these fossils and with the crew and everything else if you continue to watch. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. And I don't think I've ever heard that song before, Twitchy Nose Rabbit, which is interesting. A dinosaur song I haven't heard. How are you doing, Shark Geek? Welcome. Good to see you. Yeah, Miss Blue Skies, Charlie's Dragon. Thank you for all of your help, Charlie's Dragon. Part of the mod team, you too, Claire. Good to see you as always. Welcome, everybody. Aid 112, Mothproof KT, Gyroflex. What's shaking? Hey, welcome. You seem like you may be new here, Gyroflex. And Unyara says, OMG, you are living my dream. I want to share this with you to the best of my ability. The year, maybe like 8 months out of the year, I'm back home in my office, going over new science with the audience, trying to translate away the jargon and, just try and show you, rather than just tell you, what paleontology is all about, fossil science. During the summer, I go out and I excavate fossils for various museums. That's what I'm doing out here with the Utah Geological Survey. We're digging here on public land, Bureau of Land Management federal land. So all of these fossils that we're excavating are going to be going to the Natural History Museum of Utah, which is a public museum in Salt Lake City. We're going to have scads of fossils by the end of this summer. But right now we're just kind of getting started. And we've got a big crew. Our crew is effectively doubled in size over the past couple days, which is nice. Meeting new people, showing new folks the ropes, teaching them how to dig up dinosaurs, that kind of thing. And if you continue to watch, hopefully you'll learn a good deal as well. It's the whole point of these live streams is to show you rather than just tell you how fossil science works, what it's all about, and why it's important. So we're going to be talking about that today. I'll be showing you some visual aids and stuff, and we'll see if any bones pop up while we're streaming today too. Again, we're right at the beginning, but I bet you we'll have a couple of bones, even during today's initial excavation. So hey, Casey, good to see you too. Welcome. Yeah. And Puggo, yeah, tell me about it. We might talk about that a little bit too. But anyhow, I'm glad you're here, everybody. We're going to be focusing on cool science today. So I hope you're...
Thank you so much.
Have you got anything yet over there?
Possibly.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, we're just trying to confirm it.
Okay?
Yeah.
Go. Sort of iffy.
Take a look, yeah. Oh, that could be some plant material. Let's see.
Oh, that's more than I need.
Or it could be some bone. I'm gonna pick this part up. Let's see. That's tricky. It's got some weird concretion-y stuff on the surface. Yeah.
In this area.
Up this piece. It doesn't seem to have like bone texture. So this is mud here.
It's underneath this, I believe.
Yeah. Let me pull that up and look.
Yeah.
Let's see.
This about looks like points. That.
Yeah, that
works.
that looks like bone. Yeah. Excellent.
Ha!
Yeah. Let's look at the cross section. It could be Tempsky. It could be plant. But we'll have Dawn take a look.
Okay.
It's not super well preserved.
No.
But
Still very crumbly. It's probably nothing he'll want, but
yeah. But we'll see. It's good. It's got the stuff here. Yeah. Here, I'll get out of the way so Dawn can take a look.
where is Don? Is he still moving across?
But yeah. One of the things that, if you're new here, that you're going to learn is that sometimes a dinosaur excavation doesn't look exactly like it does in the movies, you know? This is the real deal. This is why I show you this stuff. I think it's important to show people the real thing. This is not like in Jurassic Park where there's just a, you know, the beautiful, complete dinosaur skeleton all laid out in bas relief on the surface, and they're just using little paint brushes to whisk away bits of sand. No, this is what a real excavation looks like here. The bones are often not very pretty, but we will have some pretty ones that'll show up over the course of the next 3 weeks, and I'll make sure to show you those. But for the most part, most of the bones that we're getting, they look pretty scrungy to start with. They're not going to look beautiful, clean, and pristine until they're back in the laboratory and they get properly prepared and everything. So yeah. And Ms. Blue Skies, I do have a new sun helmet this year. I finally retired my old one. This is also a military surplus. I think U.S. Marines standard issue sun helmet. Yeah, helmet, comma, sun rigid, comma, fiber. DSA 100, 1863, and then there's like a serial number or requisition number or whatever. My old one, I finally decided to retire. I've been using that one since 2012, and I finally figured the old one was, I didn't want it to completely fall apart this year. So this is the year of gear for me. New Australian slouch hat, new sun helmet. So, sharp eyes there. Yeah. And yeah, we're in Utah, absolutely. It's good to have you here. Yeah. The year of the hat, I guess so, Claire, I guess so. I've been saving up those other ones for a while, like just holding them in reserve. Like, okay, is it finally the year I switched to a new hat? And yeah, it's the year. So, here we are. And Buddy Dank, thank you for subscribing. Really appreciate that. Thank you for the Prime there. Believe it or not, this is literally how I make my living. This is how I pay the bills, is by live streaming. It's often not easy to make ends meet as a paleontologist. I've been very lucky in being able to carve out a niche for myself doing outreach full time.
Hi, everybody.
So yeah. See you. Thanks again.
You're welcome.
There's Jameson's mom taking off right now. She brought us some watermelon and some cold drinks, and we're grateful. She wanted to come check on him. He's the youngest member of our crew. We'll go see him in a little bit. He's still in high school. He's starting his senior year. But yeah, that kind of dovetails with what I was saying. I do science outreach full time. I consider this kind of a public service in a way. You know, everybody's interested in dinosaurs, and everybody has questions about fossils, about the history of life on Earth, about all that. And there's a lot of misinformation, especially online, about this. I wanted to have a way of showing people what it's really like to excavate fossils and conduct paleontological research. So that's why I do what I do. And this crew here, led by members of the Utah Geological Survey, who are actually under the employ of the state of Utah, so state employees, they run this crew. And we're volunteer-based, so there's right now actually just one person on the crew who's getting paid. That's Dawn, the assistant state paleontologist for the state of Utah. And this is important scientific work, but it's also kind of a public service in a way. and that we are taking on volunteers and showing them how these things work, teaching them how to excavate fossils and collect data and survive in the field. And there are people here who are just starting their careers who are going to go on to do really cool things in the field of paleontology. And this is kind of their entry point. This is how they're getting started. And so it's something that warms my heart that I get to be part of this and help out with it. This is like an incubator for young paleontologists, people who are starting their career in fossil science. We get to be part of that and like kind of mentor them at the beginning of that. I benefited from that kind of thing early on, working with Museum of the Rockies and the Badlands Dinosaur Museum and a few other institutions, the University of California Museum of Paleontology. And now I get to kind of pay it forward a little bit, helping teach people how to dig and all that. So yeah. Some gift subs here? What was that? Yeah. And there you go, Raptor. Yeah. And very cool for those baby paleontologists to get to be there. Exactly, Casey, yeah. Yeah.
I'll go get it. Yeah, and then probably that's a little coarse. Yeah, let's.
You got that.
You could get it. There are some better, like bigger brushes, like 3 and 4 inch paintbrushes. This is good if you're above and you want to move stuff, but if once you get to the bone, it's just going to turn it into powder.
This is your first new bones, Don?
Yeah, that was actually a really nice bone.
Excellent.
What was it?
Should I get you your phone, Don?
Well,
Or are
it's
you?
not a was, it is. It's an
You can call her back.
What
is.
is
It
it?
still is.
Depends on what your definition is.
What kind of fossil?
Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vertebrate.
Dinosaur.
I thought it was a plant.
It's one of them land fishes. It has gills, but only when it's a little baby.
Only when it's embryonic.
And then that gill turns into a high-wood arch. And the tongue attaches and you say all kinds of stupid stuff. Yeah, again, we're in a cliff, so always be careful of that. I mean, you can clean it for sure, but don't. Yep, so you always
Well,
like.
that fell off, so
Yeah, that's
I
just
didn't
rock.
wanna-
So you're
It's
good.
just rock. Okay.
Yeah, in general, as you're working, you just want to find the high spot and take it down. Like, ideally, you just got a tabletop that you're just taking down slowly.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, also just, like working with
I'll start working on getting that while
just get
that's
that rubber
drying.
pile out of here just to, let this dry a little bit, and then
But I want
I'll
to
show you how to work the rest of this.
only
So,
different bucket for
what
that.
Don was saying right there, I think, is well illustrated by what Laura's doing here. Working with a flat surface. That's textbook right there.
It's
Yeah.
super flat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's going to be hard to do over there so far, Jameson, because it's so crumbly.
I know.
But when the rock
Yeah.
gets deeper and a little blockier, it'll be much easier to work with that kind of surface.
I
Tomorrow we'll
always
take
feel
more
like
back so
there's,
because
you
we're
can
gonna go
see
that
there's
way, we
bits
can
where
have
it's
a gun
clearly
there and
planes.
Well, that's
If
just
one's
for
opening up,
people.
Yeah,
let's try and make that the whole thing.
exactly.
And
Yeah.
being like
So there's like a bone
neurospicy
level
Yeah.
where they go.
makes
go along,
that,
but yeah,
I
that's
think makes that a
probably
bit
about
easier, being like,
where it
okay,
is. So
That
I need-
attention to detail
Make
and
sure-
focus and
yes.
make
being
you
able
just
to
always keep
hyperfixate
bringing
on a
the head
task.
stuff
Yes.
down and not-
that's an advantage around here for sure. Yeah.
I mean,
Good
the
stuff.
best is like what happened this year,
Yeah.
where you're just sitting, or like this, where you're just.
Here, let me give everybody a little bit of background before
And I haven't been- That's what we call it. just a reason.
before we continue with a bunch of other stuff. Let's get out our iguanodon model. So somebody was asking in the chat, what kind of dinosaur are we excavating here? And we expect to find at this site the bones of iguanodonts, iguanodontids, and ankylosaurs. And we expect to find that because this site is not new. This site was dug extensively until 2010. So from like 2008, 2007 until 2010, something like that. So there's already a ton of bones that we have from this site, but we kind of need more of them. We have, we think, 2 new species of dinosaur here, and we need more material so that we can figure out what's going on with them, you know? Get as close to a complete skeleton as we can. And one of those critters is this. It's in here. but here, members of the crew might appreciate this too. So, an iguanodontian dinosaur. Some of you at home might be familiar with these guys. Iguanodontids in particular are they're beaky plant-eating dinosaurs. Iguanodon is the most famous member of this group, at least as far as the public is concerned. And it looks a little something like this. This is a beautiful iguanodon model that I got especially for this summer. So this is the general type of dinosaur that we'll be excavating here at this site, along with an ankylosaur, an armored dinosaur. So our guy is going to be earlier than this. Iguanodon proper. This is Iguanodon bernissartensis from Belgium and from other parts of Europe. It's huge. These guys get like close to 30 or 40 feet long. Really, really robust. This critter I think is about 120 million years old, maybe 125. The rocks we're digging in here are much older, about 142 million years old. And so we have an earlier member of this group, one that probably didn't have these big thumb spikes like this. It's a big, presumably a weapon on the animal's hands. Our guy doesn't seem to have that. Is maybe a little bit more similar to Camptosaurus in form and function, but I couldn't find a Camptosaurus model anywhere, so this is what we've got. And I'm not complaining because it's beautiful.
Did you look at the one on that side? You see it?
Have you seen this, Jameson?
I have not
Are
seen
you familiar with? So I just got this recently for this summer, but that's Iguanodon there. It's the best Iguanodon model I could find.
Really?
But you're familiar with Iguanodon, of course.
Yes, of course
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
Like the little spine.
I don't know if they actually would have had those sagittal spines like that,
Okay.
but
And what we'll do
Yeah.
on this, we're not going to.
anyway, it's nice to be able to show this to the folks at home, because you know, when we're just pointing to lumps of bone in the ground, it's a little hard to imagine, but you know, this makes it a little bit easier.
Yeah,
Iguanodon.
it's like real bone, so I think we're.
So yeah,
Told you guys, X marked the spot.
anywho. Gulganexes, I love the robustness of them. Yeah. Our critter is probably not this robust, because it would have been a bit smaller,
Stuff up.
Rubble, and then I'll come and wrap
but
it up, and then we'll keep working.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway. And again, I say iguanodontid dinosaur because it's not iguanodon. That comes much later. And iguanodon's from Europe. Our critter is a member of the same family, but it hasn't been named yet. It's new. What we're digging up here is a new kind of dinosaur. Rather, several new kinds of dinosaur. Part of what we're doing here is finding as many bones as we can, and they're all jumbled up, but the more we find, hopefully the easier it will get to find some bones that are really diagnostic, so really unique looking, really scientifically informative, taxonomically informative. We'll be able to tell, oh, well, this is different from Iguanodon, it's different from Camptosaurus, it's different from other members of this group.
Hey, Danny, I got a family request. They said, go talk to Danny.
Oh, really?
We're watching.
Excellent. Well, we've got the assistant state paleontologist for the state of Utah, Don DeBlue here. How you doing, Don?
Hi, everybody.
Yeah.
Hi, Amy. Hi, Susan.
Yeah.
Hi, D'Artagnan. Hi, Katie.
Is Moki watching too?
Yeah, Moki's watching. The other Don.
Yeah.
And Caitlin.
Awesome.
Hi.
Yeah. So we have proof of life here.
Yeah, they're all in St. George. Yeah.
Nice.
Somewhat proof of life. Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're down in St. George. Also baking, but there is a swimming pool in the backyard. So
Wish we had a swimming pool
do
here.
a couple
Yeah.
laps for me, please.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah.
And actually, it's pretty pleasant out here, but right now it's a little humid, and you can see the clouds building up. And
Right.
it's,
Yeah. Big clouds over the cliffs over there.
Nice and bright. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really humid this morning. I checked the meter. It was like 45% humidity,
Right.
which is crazy for out here.
I don't know if they're probably won't be on the chat to see anything.
Yeah.
But natives there, so they probably
Awesome,
do, know how
yeah.
to do things
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, we also got some of the first bone of this season.
Excellent. Yeah, that was exciting.
So I think pretty soon we're gonna have plenty to do. So,
Excellent. Yeah. We'll be in the bone zone.
all right,
Yeah.
love you guys. All the chats too, everybody.
Yep.
Love you all.
Thanks, Don. Uncle Don, everybody. Yeah. So I've been working with Don since 2022 at this point. I just emailed him and Jim at one point. I'm like, hey, looking for some... could you guys use another set of hands and, you know, live stream publicity? And they're like, yeah. And it's been great ever since. So I feel like I'm a member of the family now, almost. Or I feel like they're members of my family, Jim and Don. Uncle Don, Papa Jim. Jim, if you're watching, we miss you too. We're excited for you to be out here in about a week and a half, whatever it is. Hopefully it cools down a little bit, but we'll see. Sometimes it's a little much to ask out here in the town. But yeah. We really appreciate them letting us come out. Exactly, Claire, yeah. No, it's been lovely working with the Utah Geological Survey. If anyone's not aware, Uncle Don DeBlue right there, is the discoverer of Diabloceratops, which is a really cool horned dinosaur. Let's see if I can find Diablo in our ceratopsid roster. But it's neat in that, partly due to its name, which is a great name, and partly due to its appearance, it's become a really popular horned dinosaur. I've met people before where, you know, just like talk to somebody on the bus or like, you know, meet a school kid and they're like, oh, you're a paleontologist? I love dinosaurs. My favorite dinosaur is Diabloceratops. Like, holy cow, I work with the guy who discovered Diabloceratops. Here we go. There's so many different horned dinosaurs nowadays. Diabloceratops is not one of these guys. These are dinosaurines. These are the centrosaurines. And Diablo is bow right there. Yeah. The colors, of course, here are speculative. We don't know what colors these animals were. But that's Diabloceratops right there. Got those two big horns coming off the back of the frill there. Really cool critter. Yeah. So that's Don's baby, Diabloceratops. And then Don has also discovered a number of other new dinosaurs, some of which are still being studied and described right now. I think one of them should be published very soon, actually. I think Jim's working on that. So, yeah, they discovered a number of other fossil critters too, including was it Cretaceous freshwater shark, I think? Or was it a sauskate? Some kind of chondrichthyan fish, cartilaginous fish. So yeah, Don's done some really cool stuff. It's been excellent working with him. He's actually getting ready to retire this year, or the end of this year. I would say we're really good, so it'll be really nice that he won't have to be, you know, on the clock. He can just do the fun parts of field work and not have to worry about all the administrative stuff. I think that job listing may have just gone out today, actually, finally. So, finding somebody to fill Don's shoes. Luckily, we have Don to help choose a successor, so that'll be good. Anywho. Oh, and Sicarado wants to know about the Ceratopsis. Why do those other ones have different types of horns and head shapes? Are they different species? They are, yeah, so we'll go back and look at those for a second. So in a few cases, these animals are coeval. They lived at the same time in the same place. But for the most part, these guys lived at different times. And they're members of the same lineages. So a lot of this stuff is still kind of being figured out. But with our centrosaurines here, a bunch of guys are very close relatives of each other. So number 11, Styracosaurus albertensis, and 12, Rubeosaurus. These are members of the same lineage. I don't remember which one is first, but one of them seems to evolve into the other one. This is a hot topic and a subject of a lot of controversy. I'm like, which ones are actually earlier in time than the other ones? And, you know, did this guy evolve into that guy? And Is this a cladogenic splitting event where the lineage split, or is it anagenetic, where one literally just evolves into the other over time? A lot of this stuff we're still figuring out. But there was a major split that we know happened fairly early on between these guys, the chasmosaurians, who tend to have these rectangular-shaped frills. They tend to have longer brow horns in most cases, so the horns above their eyes tend to be longer. Triceratops is the most famous example of these guys. There's Triceratops right there. And these are the centrosaurians. So they tend to have a longer nose horn and shorter brow horns, except when they don't. It's a little confusing like that. But anyway, early on there was a split in this family. So these guys were evolving in a different direction from these guys. I'm grievously oversimplifying here, but bear with me if you know your ceratopsids really well. But what's really neat is that these guys evolve really quickly. So over the course of just a few million or even 100,000 years, it would be to show you guys like a family tree of ceratopsids, kind of taking into account the potential for cladogenesis and anagenesis. I'm just making sense of the whole thing, but that's a project that's outside of my realm of expertise. I would go to other people like maybe Denver Fowler to talk about this. But anyway, and you might ask, well, why do they change so much? Why do you have these different shapes of horns and frills and everything else? Why bother? What's the point? And the answer seems to be for showing off. It seems to be for display. Just like the different kinds of antlers on a bunch of different species of antelope. I guess maybe they're horns on antelope. The different headgear that they evolve, sometimes it's used for trying to scare away predators or even just actively fight predators. But for the most part, that kind of headgear is for showing off. And in the case of these dinosaurs, that seems to be what's going on. If these were purely for defense, you would think that they would evolve some kind of arrangement that would stay steady. Like here's the optimal pointiness of horns and angle at which they're held and, this frill. But that isn't what happens. These guys are just constantly changing all the time. As you go up through the late Cretaceous, ceratopsids are evolving, and their frills are lengthening or shortening. You get these big epis, these spikes on the back of the frill, the epiparietals and episquamosals. They change shape. Not only do they do that through evolution, but they also change shape through the animal's lives, too, through what we call ontogeny. Through an individual's life history, the horns and frills will kind of morph and change a bit. So what that tells me, and other people who think similarly, is that these are for display. It's to say, hey, look, I'm a big, strong adult. This is how long my frill is. Look at these really showy spikes. These frills are probably really brightly colored, kind of like you see here. And then the young ones have horns and frills that are slightly differently shaped. And so it's kind of showing off their level of maturity. Maybe the young ones are hanging out together in a different part of the environment. Maybe they're eating different food. And so it's like a signaling device. It's like, hey, if you're going to come over here and eat horsetails with us, the young guy, frill. It's weird because mammals don't really do this much. It kind of goes to show that dinosaurs were very different from most of the big animals that we have walking around today. And so you can't use mammals as like a perfect analogy for what dinosaurs are doing. It seemed like they were kind of playing by different rules and doing different stuff. Anyway, I'm rambling here, but hopefully that was informative or at least interesting. And let's see. My beaky dinosaur says he needs more attention. There you go, Caddock Time Traveler. I hope Luffy's doing well. It's good to see you. Good to see you both. Stevie Seal says it's a bit like birds trying to attract a mate. Maybe. That's kind of the right idea, except with these dinosaurs, it doesn't seem like the males and females have different shapes of horns and frills and stuff like that. There doesn't seem to be like a sexual dimorphism thing where the males and females look different. At least not in terms of the bones. Maybe the males and females had different coloration or different soft tissue that doesn't preserve. But we've not really been able to find a clear binary where like, oh, well, clearly there's two different groups, and these ones should be males and these ones should be females. We don't find that. They all look the same skeletally. When you look at the bones and the frills and the horns and everything else, there's no clear split, 1-2. Instead, yeah, so it might have more to do with showing off your level of maturity, something like that. Yeah. Or maybe it's just a good indicator of good health, where it's like, hey, look at me, whether I'm male or female, I have good genes because, look at how elaborate this headgear is that I've developed. I'm really well fed. I'm so well fed, so good at surviving. I can afford to blow all this energy on this extravagant headgear like this. You should come hang out with me. Maybe have babies with me. That is kind of what a lot of modern animals do. Peacocks are the classic example. The male peafowl. They've got these big elaborate feathers that are not useful, In fact, they're much more likely to get them eaten by a tiger, but they show off that like, oh, hey, look at me. I'm so well fed and good at surviving that I can afford to waste all these resources on these giant feathers. And the females really like that. But again, with these guys, it doesn't seem to be a male-female thing, so it's still kind of mysterious what exactly is going on with these horns and frills. It seems to be for display, but what kind of display? Why? What are they trying to say? So, I don't know. Much work remains to be done on the function of ceratopsid headgear. So I hope that's fair to say. And Akira Eclipse says, how much competition was there typically between individuals of the same species at different maturity levels? Yeah, that's a good question. And that's something that it's a subject of debate. Dinosaur paleontologists. What you're talking about is intraspecific competition. So members are competing with one another. And it's a big topic in dinosaur paleontology right now. How much are these animals competing with younger members of their same species? And are they doing different things at different growth stages? Are the younger individuals hanging out in a different part of the environment, eating different food so they're not competing with the adults? Or are they just all together in a big herd? Of course, with different kinds of dinosaurs, it's going to be different. But yeah, we're still trying to figure some of this stuff out. These are basic questions. And they still remain mysterious. A lot of you probably, if you've been in this chat for a long time, like since last October, you probably remember us talking about Nanotyrannus and that big controversy there. Is that the same animal as T-Rex? Is it just a young T-Rex? Or is it different? For now, it seems like people have become more convinced, at least for a little while, that they are different animals, and then thus juvenile Nanotyrannus, even adult Nanotyrannus, may have been in competition with adult or juvenile Tyrannosaurus. But I don't know, I've heard some pretty convincing arguments that they might actually be the same thing. And this whole decision that but this consensus starting to shift toward them being different animals may have been a bit premature. But anyway, we'll talk about that later as more evidence comes to light and more papers are published. There's a few people working on some projects right now about Tyrannosaurus and Nanotyrannus and whether or not they're the same thing. So it's certainly not the end of the story there. That's how science goes oftentimes, At any rate, the idea of competition among dinosaurs, young and old, it's tricky, Before we even start to figure that stuff out, we got to figure out, are these the same species or are they different in a lot of cases? And even that is not obvious many times, so yeah. I'm going to get some water and then we'll go back down to the quarry and we'll kind of focus on what's going on down there. Get some water. Come on, water bottle. Oh, great. The thing came undone. Hang on a sec, chat. when you get these temperature extremes out here, sometimes your gear doesn't like that very much. And this little rubber stopper has come out of my water bottle. Trying to do this one-handed is not ideal. Hang on. Come on now. Get the knife out.
Yeah, probably in the dark over
Come on.
there.
Normally I would leave this kind of thing, but a water bottle is important when you're out here, and I can't let this come apart. There we go. Okay. Appreciate your patience there. Live broadcast. Hey, Cozy Kestrel. Howdy, howdy. Yeah. I'm questioning about dinosaur maladies like parasites or disease, if you want to feel it. I don't know a great deal about that. I know there's some evidence of dinosaurs during the Mesozoic having parasites. I want to say there's like a titanosaur that was thought to have had some kind of blood parasite. But dinosaurs were, in many cases, really large animals doing lots of cool stuff in their environment. They would have been probably host to all kinds of different parasites, just like many animals are today. Especially since many, if not most, if not all dinosaurs during the Mesozoic would have been warm-blooded. We have evidence for elevated metabolisms in a lot of different dinosaurs from the Mesozoic. And oftentimes warm-blooded animals that regulate their own body temperature internally, they provide a more stable kind of ecosystem for parasites to exploit. So yeah, a lot of dinosaurs probably did have parasites. Finding evidence of that, testing that idea is a bit trickier. But yeah. Anywho. And yeah, so that's different though. Disease, maladies. Big Al the Allosaurus, really cool specimen from northern Wyoming that I've gotten to work with personally. He has all kinds of injuries recorded in his skeleton, different broken bones that didn't just break, but they healed during his lifetime. So if you find a dinosaur bone that's broken, well, if there's a fracture or a piece missing or something like that, you can't really be sure that that happened during the animal's lifetime, unless there's evidence of healing. So an animal, if it breaks its bone and it dies from that injury, the bone didn't have time to heal. So you don't really know if the bone was broken before or after death. But if you have signs of healing where say a rib breaks and then it heals and you get this big lump of pathological bone where the bone stitched itself back together, then you know that happened during the animal's lifetime. And it can give you some indication of maybe how the animal was living. Allosaurus, the Big Al specimen, has a bunch of healed injuries like that, which are potentially really informative. He has like an abnormal number of injuries, it seems. So maybe that shows that Allosaurus in particular, that genus of dinosaur, they led really difficult lives. Or maybe Big Al himself as an individual, maybe he was just really clumsy, or other Allosaurs didn't like him, they were picking on, who knows, But it's interesting to see, there's a big fracture on the middle toe, there's broken ribs, there's kind of a torn finger bone, all these things healed during his lifetime, and some of them were infected. If nothing else, it gives you like a little snapshot into what his life was like. It wasn't easy being him. Yeah. But yeah. Anywho, and Wheeze says, oh boy, I appreciate you asking that question, but this is what I was afraid of with the whole stupid auction thing. Yeah, there was like a handful of Tyrannosaurus bones that were sold the other day for like $50 million, which is insane. These things do not cost that much to dig up. They're not that rare. The whole thing is a farce. We're digging up these fossils for science. So we're digging here on public land, Bureau of Land Management land, and all of these fossils are going to end up in a particular museum in Salt Lake City. the Natural History Museum of Utah, which is a public museum. Years from now, after these fossils are cleaned in the lab, hopefully some of them are going to be going on display after we publish on them. And you'll be able to go see them in the museum. The point is, we're digging these things up for science, not for profit, not for fortune and glory, but because we care about unraveling these mysteries about the history of life on Earth, you know? That's what this is all about. This is in some ways a public service that we're doing, you know? So yeah. Hey, let's ask Don about that real quick, actually. Here, Don, can we bug you for a minute?
Yeah, I guess so.
I'm sorry. We just wanted to
kneel down.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can go around the other side so you can continue kneeling down. Oh, thanks, Crystal. I appreciate it. Yeah, we had a question in the chat. I'm going to step right here. About where these fossils are going to end up when we excavate them. Are these going to go up for sale at an auction, like that T-Rex, or can you talk a little bit about like BLM land and public
so this
repositories?
is Bureau of Land Management land, so we have a excavation permit from the BLM.
Yeah.
But the public land belongs to all Americans,
Yeah.
and really the fossils belong to the world.
Right. Yeah.
Humanity. So yeah, all these, in order to get a permit from the BLM, you have to agree that all go into an accredited federal repository. So I'm going to go to the University of Utah,
Right.
the Natural History Museum of Utah. So that's where all these guys end up. So quite a few of the certain limb bones of the iguanodon. So we have 20 or 30 different individuals that we have portions of.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we get a bank of numbers so each fossil is going to get an individual UMNH number.
Right. Yeah.
It used to be the Utah Museum of Natural History, so all the fossils are UMNH.VP.2635 kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
But then they went and spent a few $1 million to change the name to the Natural History.
They got a big donation from a mining company to do this, as I understand it.
NHMU.
Yeah.
But it's still a UMNH.
Right. Yeah.
But if you say UMNH when you mean NHMU, you can get in big trouble.
None of this is particularly relevant, but that's okay.
We get a big bank of UMNH numbers.
Yeah.
And then after we get these back, the jackets get opened up. They get prepared.
Mm-hmm.
We'll make a lab cradle for them or some sort of little cavity mount, so they're all like tucked in there in this little spot. And then for these iguanodons, I've been trying to photograph all of them because we're working with Karen Poole to describe this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I send all the related materials, the quarry, all that stuff up to them, so they want all that information as well when we bring it up.
Right.
And then I email the registrar, here's the spreadsheet, these 56 iguanodon bones I would like to reposit, and then they say, well, we both have to be there.
Yeah. There's an official handing off ceremony.
And then, but Carrie's on vacation, and then Janice's in the field.
We're just complaining about bureaucracy at this point,
and
but
eventually they're like, okay, we come up at 9:30 on this day, so then I get like a big Explorer, sometimes even like a truck, and load all the fossils in and drive them. Luckily, it's only about a 20-minute drive across town.
over to their forever home.
It would be. I am jealous of the folks at the museum that do the field work, and they actually bring the bones back to where they are going to end up.
Right.
So they can be like, oh, I'm finished with this one, here you go. Instead of having to have 50 or 100 of them and driving them all up at once.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything is there, and then they're available to be studied.
Right.
Because really, to be named as a new dinosaur and published on, the bones have to be accessible to other researchers.
Right.
So.
It can't be like, oh, well, these are part of somebody's private collection. I guess you can look at it as scientists. No, it has to be so
we're
that.
Lucky we do. If you were, say, a consultant digging up fossils on some oil pad in the Uinta Basin, where they were, you actually have to pay the museum to take the fossils.
Right. Yeah.
Because they're going to have to take care of them for in perpetuity.
That's not cheap.
At least until societal collapse. And,
which could be any day now. We'll see.
Exactly.
Anyway, I appreciate it, Don. Thank you. Yeah.
Sorry, I've only been out here a few days. We're already
Yeah.
discussing societal collapse.
Well, for all we know, it could have happened already. I mean, we're not really in
right.
contact
We
with
would
the
not
outside
be
world
here.
here, so yeah.
I think Emily might have told us when she drove in. But
That's a good point, yeah. Anyway, thanks,
so,
Ben.
sure.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is that these fossils that we're excavating, you know, we're pouring blood, sweat, and tears into these things. Not literally, in most cases. But we're doing this, we're going through all this effort for the public good, you know? This is a project that we all believe in. And we're not getting paid to be here, except for Don. He works for the state. But, like, we're all volunteering here. We're taking weeks out of our busy lives to be here excavating these fossils because we think this is important. We've got several new species of dinosaur here, and we want the world to know about them. We want to be able to learn from this, and when you have an auction like that where it just commodifies a dinosaur specimen, it's like, oh yeah, here's this thing that, just like boiling it down to a dollar amount. And you're completely missing the point of what makes dinosaurs cool and interesting and special, you know? These are the history of life on Earth. To turn it into a commodity like that, I think, really betrays the spirit of what paleontology is all about. That's my opinion. Not necessarily that of Don or Utah Geological Survey or anything. That's me, Danny Anduza. That's what I think. But many of my colleagues agree with me about this, and nearly all of them. So anyhow, yeah. Oh, let me scroll down. Yeah. Physical work is good for the bones. It's true, and it then did. Yeah. Yeah. And there you go, Crimson. Yeah. And let's see. Smudge your housekeeping here. This site is sending things to NHMU. Oh, this is NHMU in Salt Lake. Yeah. Yeah. The Natural History Museum of Utah, which used to be the Utah Museum of Natural History, but they did a rebrand a few years back, and that's what what Don was kind of grousing about there a little bit, in a good-natured way. The last time I was doing fieldwork in Utah, last September, I was just over that ridge over there and a few miles that way at Lori's site. And Claire, that's where I was working with Josh Lively, and all of those fossils are going to the museum in Price, the prehistoric museum at Utah State University Eastern. So I understand the confusion. There's a lot to keep track of. But anyway, the point is all of the fossils that I excavate as a paleontologist are going to museums. That's the whole point, you know? Why excavate these things if they're just going to go on some wealthy person's mantelpiece or some billionaire's foyer or whatever? Like, who cares about that? These fossils belong to we the people. They're being used for science, you know, to help understand the history of life on Earth. And it's really important. I'll bring the book out tomorrow so I can show you. But this is a really important part of the Cretaceous. These rocks that we're excavating here are the earliest dinosaur-bearing Cretaceous rocks in the world, we think. So this is a unique area right here. This little valley and a few other places like this in eastern Utah are the only place in the world that you can find dinosaurs from this particular age. From about 142 million years old, the very beginning of the Cretaceous period. Nowhere else in the world really can you find dinosaurs of this age. And so, for a long time, this is a missing puzzle piece. When Jim Kirkland started coming out here back in the late 80s, early 90s, there weren't really any dinosaurs known from the Cedar Mountain Formation. And there was like a 20 million year gap where it's like, what happened in there? Oh, anything could have happened. Now we've filled that in, which is why this work is so important. And Don and Jim have been leading the charge with this and recruiting other people to come out here and dig. Lindsay Zano's crew from what is it? North Carolina Museum of Nature and Science? Do I have that right? These museum names. Oh boy. They're working over by Green River, Utah right now at the Crystal Geyser Quarry. digging up Falcarius and probably a few other dinosaurs there too. They've recognized that this is really important stuff, and Lindsay Zano nowadays is something of a superstar in dinosaur paleontology. She has a crew out there working right now because she recognizes the importance of all this. Josh Lively's crew, hopefully in September, early October, they're going to be working right over there. Hopefully I can join them. This in many ways is it's a frontier in dinosaur paleontology. If you want to know more about this, you can check out Krista Sadler's book, Dinosaur Frontier. I'm mentioned in the book. So is Don, so is Jim. They're profiled in it. Josh Lively, Lindsay Zano. That's all about the Cedar Mountain Formation. This particular accumulation of rocks here, representing the early Cretaceous period in Utah. For the longest time, this was a blank spot on the map, and now we're filling it in, and it's really important. Again, we're on the frontier of this part of dinosaur science. It's exciting to be part of it. And I think it's the North Carolina Museum of Nature and Science. Beautiful museum, No Bark. Yeah. And Charlie's Dragon says it's a great book. I'm glad you like it, Charlie's Dragon, yeah. I've got a copy over in my tent. I'll see if I can remember to bring it out for our stream tomorrow, because there's lots of cool stuff to look at that. Excellent pictures. It's a gorgeous book. Like, we're talking like coffee table photo book levels of design. It just won an award for book design, which Krista's pretty proud of. Well deserved. NC Museum of Natural Sciences. Thank you, Ms. Blue Skies. Yeah. Yeah. And Apri, thank you for the support. Appreciate it. Yeah. Oh, and Golganek says, basic question, difference in herd size among different ceratopsians. Can we refer any information about this? Golganek, I'm delighted you asked that. I was just talking with Ethan about this yesterday. The chasmosaurines don't seem to show up in huge herds, but the centrosaurines, the ones with the rounder frills, they tend to have a longer nose horn, we find them oftentimes in these mass accumulations, just like mass death assemblages. Whether it's Centrosaurus or Pachyrhinosaurus, sometimes you find like hundreds or thousands of them in the same place. So maybe they are hanging out in huge herds and the chasmosaurines are not? Or maybe we just haven't done enough looking yet, and someday we'll find a huge chasmosaurine bone bed. It's a good question. Oftentimes we develop a hunch about stuff like this. It's like, oh, this group of ceratopsids is probably more sociable than that other clade over there. But yeah, it's the sort of stuff that like we talk about as paleontologists to each other, but like you can't publish on that because you don't have data on it, really, you know? But hopefully 50 years from now we will have good data and we'll be able to say, oh yeah, chasmosaurines much less sociable than centrosaurines, much less gregarious, smaller herd size. Maybe they were solitary, who knows? But yeah. Oh, and Jim, how are you doing, Jim? It's great to see you. That is Utah State paleontologist Jim Kirkland there in the chat. Jim says there have been herding Polycanthian ankylosaurs like we have at Laurie's site. Right, Jim? That's Gastonia Laurie McWhinney. A bunch of them found in the same place. Hundreds or maybe even 1,000 individuals. Who knows how many? We don't have a good count on them, but there's a whole bunch that all seem to have died in the same spot. Did they normally live in big herds, or did they gather during the mating season, or maybe during a drought, or who knows? But it's interesting that despite not having a reputation for being particularly sociable, some ankylosaurs definitely did hang out in groups, it seems. Yeah. And Indo says, have we ever found a group of Triceratops? There have been a few. I know of one site where there's at least 3 Triceratops individuals together. But again, weird. Triceratops is a super common animal, and yet we don't find like huge bone beds of them most of the time. So maybe they weren't very, very social, or I don't know. There might also be just something to do with the deposition in the Hell Creek and Lance formations, where we get Triceratops, maybe you just don't get like these huge seasonal flooding events that could bury a bunch of animals in the same place. I don't know. I really don't know. But it is weird that we don't get a whole bunch of Triceratops preserved in one place together at the same time. It'll be like one Triceratops over there, another one over there, different layers. No mass death assemblages where you have like hundreds of individuals that I'm aware of, which is bizarre. Maybe it's that, well, they're Chasmosaurians and they're not super gregarious. Who knows? We don't know. And anytime I say we don't know about something, that's exciting in paleontology because it means there's a mystery still waiting to be solved. And somebody's going to solve it someday. Somebody's going to figure that out. And it hasn't happened yet. But there's an opportunity there, you know? It's, I guess it's a glass half full way of looking at things. Or you know what? No. The glass is half empty, and that's exciting because you can pour so much more into that glass. That's what it is.
I wish that jackhammer came to my area.
And Mayor of Space says, maybe the Chasmosaurians are just better at not having mass die-offs. Could be Mayor of Space. Maybe they're just... Yeah, maybe that's just what's going on. Yeah. That reminds me, I don't know if anybody's going to get this reference, but there's that line in Return of the Jedi. You know, many Bothans died to bring us this information. It's like, yeah, they're always doing that. You know, send them out for coffee, 50 of them, dead. Maybe Centrosaurians are like that, who knows? I don't think so. It'd be difficult to demonstrate. How would you test that idea? But yeah. And Dyson Dinosaur, we are working on more iguanodontians here. Good to see you, Filippo. Yeah. Let's see, we've got at least a couple of bones.
Yeah, don't look at my area.
No worries. we'll come back when you've got some stuff.
Okay.
You will, Jameson. Crystal, did that turn into anything, the bone over
It
there?
was a fragment, it looks like.
Okay.
It would have started here.
Yeah.
To about here. So.
It's still a good sign.
So it's still drying. There's some glue on it.
Yeah. Looks kind of ribby, maybe.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
John's consensus.
Which, to be fair, when you don't know what a bone is and it's kind of long, you go, it's probably a rib, and you probably won't be wrong.
Yeah.
So-
If you don't know what it is and it's short, it's a tooth or a vertebrae.
There you go, yeah. But anyway, Filippo, yeah, more of your iguanodonts here. And Don, we think that this site is basically coeval with the Ethan's bathtub site, right? Basically same stratigraphic horizon?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so probably the same iguanodonts that we've got over there too. So, is Karen gonna work on ones from here too, or just from Ethan's bathtub?
No, I mean we figure they're all the same. Yeah.
Nice, okay, cool.
Well, we think we have two because of the
Yeah.
couple area, but
Nice.
Oh yeah, I know she'll work on the whole part.
Yeah,
Because none of them are, I mean they're all disarticulated, and so
yeah,
we kind of know what ones possibly go together, but
right.
not all part of the same population probably.
Cool.
Yeah, having that one, those couple of different looking ilia do kind of throw a little wrench into this.
Definitely, yeah. It makes things more complicated because, yeah, we talked about this a bit last year, but when you've got a bunch of bones all jumbled up from one site, you can't really be sure that they're all from the same species. Especially when you get two of the same kind of bone, like say two ilia, for instance, the upper hip bones, that clearly look very different. You might have two species there at least, and so it kind of complicates things. Anyway, we talked about this last week back in my office when we were looking at a couple new papers where they had a big bone bed, just hundreds of bones from some new dinosaurs. But since they're all disarticulated, since the skeletons have fallen apart, the bones are all jumbled up, you can't really point to a femur and the humerus and a skull and say that they're all part of the same animal. So instead, you have to kind of pick the best bone and go, okay, we know this is a new dinosaur. but we don't know, like, we could have several new species of dinosaur in here. So what we're going to do, conservatively, is we're going to take the best bone, we're going to name the new dinosaur based on that, and then in the future, if anybody finds articulated skeletons, they can compare this stuff, and yeah. But you got to be careful with this sort of thing. So at this site, what Karen Poole is doing, she's leading the charge in describing these animals. She's going to be probably finding the best elements, the most diagnostic, the most informative, the ones that look the most different from every other previously described dinosaur from the same family. She's going to take those unique bones and use those to diagnose the new species. So every bone that we get here is important, but most of these will be important in the future. In terms of describing these animals, when we're publishing a scientific paper on these, there's just a few key, really informative bones. They're going to be the most valuable. They're going to be the most scientifically informative. But that's why it's important to keep digging, because you might, in the next 5 minutes, somebody could find something like a squamosal, like Ethan was talking about the other day. One of the bones from near the back of the skull. Those are highly diagnostic in these animals. We're hoping to get a squamosal or 2 or 3. That would be a big deal. And somebody could find that in the next 5 minutes here. You never know what you're going to find at a site like this. So that's why it's important to keep digging year after year until you get the good stuff. Yeah. Casey says I can't get over the name Ethan's bathtub. Yeah, that was an area where Ethan was digging, and after they got a big rainstorm, it filled up with water. So they jokingly called it Ethan's bathtub, and then the name stuck. So, yeah. Anyway, that site is right over there. You probably can't see with this camera lens, but there's a few pieces of rebar sticking up over there that mark some of the boundaries of the site. That's where I was working for the past 4 years, out here in Utah when I was streaming here. And now we've moved to a different area. This is called Jim's Place. Very imaginative name. But Jim found it, and it's his place, so it's Jim's Place. This is a site that they worked from something like, 2007 or so until about 2010. And then they decided to focus over there for a while. And now we're back over here. So we've reopened this site, and we're already finding bones, which is exciting. Yeah. Yeah. There you go, Casey. Yeah. And Ms. Blue Sky says, why are some bones so much more diagnostic than others? Ooh, good question. Here, maybe we'll ask Henry about that. I don't know if we've had Henry on camera yet. Hey. Henry, you want to introduce yourself? Yeah, I'm just going to stand right here. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone, my name is Henry Tai. I am assistant professor of anatomy at Missouri State University. And my specialty is looking at the anatomy of dinosaurs, especially regarding joints and connective tissues. And basically how they're built and how they work as living, breathing animals. Well, once living, breathing animals. Yeah.
Not anymore, unfortunately.
Bird. Yeah.
Except for birds.
Bird, yeah.
So many caveats when we're talking with scientists. It's like, well, actually, yeah. Anyway, we had a question in the chat. Why are some bones more diagnostic than others when you're trying to name a new taxon?
I overheard that.
Yeah.
Good question. That's because many groups of dinosaurs have bones, part of their body that are very unique, that has very unique characteristics that can allow you to tell which species it is. But there's also certain bones or features of the bones are shared across a group.
Sure.
Let's just take ceratopsians, for example.
There we go.
Everybody loves ceratopsids because their horns and frills, and to some extent their beak and just their heads, are highly variable and can use it to determine their species and so on. However, if you find a headless ceratopsid out in the badlands somewhere, have fun naming that, because multiple species of ceratopsids have postcranial skeletons that look very similar to one another. You may be able to narrow it down to Chasmosaurine and Centrosaurine, but that's why some species are more some bones are more diagnostic versus the others.
Right. So generally speaking, across dinosaurs, What are some of the least diagnostic bones? Like, we were talking earlier about
Ribs.
ribs. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
Available if this is.
All right. So Macy here has a very good input.
okay.
Can you tell your you
Oh, I was
say.
just saying,
Yeah.
just like in a very layman's terms, is it easier to tell your family member from their feet or their face?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Rather than their ribs. Fair. Yeah. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
thanks,
sometimes we'd be able to say that, oh, this area is highly productive and we find a lot of iguanodontians here.
Yeah.
But individual like groups like iguanodon genera may
Uh-huh.
have like diagnostic features that are very specific to certain part of their skeleton.
There you
if
go.
we don't find those parts of the skeletons, we can say that they're iguanodontians, or we may say that this will be an iguanodontian more closely related to Hippodraco, just to
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thanks, Henry.
Yep.
Thanks, Macy. Yeah, excellent. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. And it's nice to get the input from other members of the crew. I don't want to be talking the whole time. Don't want this to just be the Danny show. But yeah, an analogy that I've used in the past too is, imagine you've got like a junkyard full of torn up cars, and you're trying to figure out, well, what kind of cars are in here, Is this a Honda Civic? Is that a Ford Escape? There's certain parts that are not going to be helpful. You find a fragment of like a tire, you're like, well, shoot, all these cars had tires. It's not helpful. You find the little Schrader valve for filling up the tire. Not going to be helpful. But you find, I don't know, maybe a steering wheel. Now we're getting somewhere. Different cars have different shaped steering wheels. Some of them have got the like, company name on it. Well, here's a Ford. There's a Toyota. There's the Toyota icon right in the middle of the steering wheel. You know what I mean? So like, not all parts are equally valuable when you're trying to identify the thing. Does that make sense? Some parts are pretty standard across the board, and some are very unique. And it's the same with different bones from dinosaurs. Usually the skull is one of the most diagnostic parts. Dinosaurs, they tend to have, their skulls tend to evolve pretty quickly. Their ribs, not so much. Ribs are long and kind of vaguely cylindrical in shape, and they've all got ribs and like, but you find yourself a skull bone, like now we're talking. And different groups of dinosaurs will have different parts that are more unique. Yeah. The vertebrae of sauropods, the neck vertebrae, can be really diagnostic. You can tell what kind of sauropod dinosaur you have. Is this a brachiosaur? Is it a diplodocid? Is this a titanosaur? Is this Haplocanthosaurus? Those vertebrae tell you a story that the ribs will not, if that makes sense. So yeah. Anywho. And very unique. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, very unique is kind of a ridiculous turn of phrase, because unique is a superlative. Something can't be very unique. It's either unique or it's not. But yeah, good point, Becca Paintmore. Yeah. And Indo makes a really good point. Yeah, your ceratopsian emote is a good example. 1 body, 3 head emotes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, where like that body could be any kind of ceratopsid, but those different shaped heads, that tells you what kind of ceratopsid you're looking at. Yeah, good point. Thank you, Charlie's Dragon, for the example. And Akira Clip says, how dexterous were most dinosaurs? You mean like with their hands? For most dinosaurs, they didn't have grasping hands. We look at... Here, let's break out a visual aid here. Ooh. Most dinosaurs did not have grasping hands when you look across the board at the different groups. So, whoop, here comes some wind. There we go. Here's a bunch of different dinosaurs here. We'll use the clip part of our clipboard to keep this from blowing away if the wind gets worse. Here, dinosaurs start right here. So among all of these animals, the only ones that could probably grasp with their hands are probably some of the theropods, maybe dinosaurs like Velociraptor, and other Maniraptoran dinosaurs. They could, maybe critters like Coelophysis to a certain extent. They could maybe grasp some things with their hands, but most of these guys your big quadrupeds, your sauropods, your thyreophorans, ankylosaurs, stegosaurs, their hands are just, you know, for bearing their weight. They don't have grasping fingers. Same with your ceratopsids and your hadrosaurs. Some dinosaurs, like Iguanodon, may have actually been able to grasp with their hands. And this is kind of weird and cool. You look at the hand on this guy, and you have these hooves that contact the ground here. They would walk on those. And then you have this big spike in the middle, thumb spike, that was probably used as a weapon. But then this on the side, their pinky finger, may have actually been opposable. So they may have been, their central three fingers contact the ground. They've got hooves on them. Then you've got your thumb spike right here, which is rigid. Can't move that. But this pinky finger here, it's difficult to do with my hand. This seems to have actually been able to fold over the rest of the hand. It's so hard to do this with my human hands. But it could fold, almost fold over the hand and grasp like this. Just like that. Maybe for manipulating objects, holding branches, doing whatever else. It's a weird, cool Iguanodon thing, and we don't know how widespread this is among that group of dinosaurs. We think that Iguanodon is probably like this. Could probably use its pinky finger to grasp, almost like a thumb. But for the other members of its family, we don't know if that's possible. We don't know how special that feature is, I guess. Because we don't have well-preserved hands for most members of that group. We could ask Filippo whether Uranosaurus might have been able to do that, or Camptosaurus, or Mantellosaurus probably could. That used to be Iguanodon until it was renamed. But yeah. So yeah. And Dirtobusses are there lizards that can use their hands. Not really for grasping objects, but some lizards are very good at climbing. And so their hands with their claws, and their feet too, they can use them for clinging to different surfaces. Geckos are famous for this, where they've got these tiny microscopic hairs or hair-like structures on the surface of their digits, and they use those for climbing up surfaces. They can climb straight up a pane of smooth glass. But could they, if you were to hand a lizard a tiny little plastic implement, like, you know, like Lego minifigures, they've got like little tools, sometimes like a little hammer or something. If you were to hand that to a gecko, would it be able to hold it in its hand? I don't know. I'm not sure. If you were to do that for an anole, would it be able to do that? I'm not sure. Yeah. Does anybody have geckos at home? You could try this. Run a little experiment. Oh, chameleons. Yes, they do definitely have. Their hands are adapted for grasping like this. It's almost like having an oven mitt. They've got these really weird, cool hands for grasping branches. Chameleon hand. There we go, like this. So they can definitely hold things. But I don't know if holding objects is really their jam. They like to hold on to things to climb, but I don't know if they would, like, you know, pick up a little plastic toy or something or hold it. I don't know if they would do that naturally. Or if they'd be like, what are you asking me to do? What? I don't have the instincts for that. Yeah. And that kind of emphasizes that there's a big difference between what animals can do and what they actually do. In zoos, when people are keeping animals in captivity, a good zoo will try and enrich their animals, keep them entertained, and keep their brains working by, like, giving them tasks and just, like, stuff to do, keep them active. And they'll try and do that in a way that mimics the behaviors that these animals would have in the wild. So, I don't know, if it's an animal that's well adapted for climbing, have lots of stuff in its enclosure that it can climb on. Maybe there'll be little toys for it to play with, but they encourage that climbing behavior. Animals are not just skeletons and muscle and flesh and skin. their behaviors, instincts, things that they learn from their parents and from other members of their group, you know, there's a lot to them. And just because an animal seems like it could do a particular behavior doesn't necessarily mean that it would ever do that in the wild, or that it would ever do that, period. So would a chameleon, if you were to hand it a little Lego man, would a chameleon pick that up with its grasping hands? I don't know. I've never seen one do that. Yeah. And welcome, Mr. Coins 1987. Hello, hello. Yeah. Cozy Kestrel says, we had one at my college that tried to grab your hair when you turned around. A chameleon? Really? Huh. Yeah. A chameleon with a knife. What? But this is a behavior that they probably wouldn't do in normal life. But I wonder how long it held onto that knife. It was like a little plastic Lego knife or something. That's really funny. I've seen that the video of the crab with a knife too. It's always funny to see. Yeah. Anyhow, I think chameleons for the most part are pretty chill animals. And they're very good at communicating their feelings. They can kind of talk things out. I think not very often do they actually fight with each other physically. They change colors to let other members of their species know, like, hey, I'm mad, or I'm scared, or I think you're cool. Let's hang out. Yeah, I don't think they get in knife fights very often. That's my point in saying this.
There's so many people around that like you say that and they're like, what?
Let me grab some more water and we'll go back into the quarry and see what else we've got in there. Things are very full at the moment in the quarry, so there's not a lot of room for me to work, but hopefully at some point later on in the season we'll have some streams where I'm just sitting there digging. People can ask questions, and I find chatters tend to really like that when we just have a nice chill stream where it's like, yeah, we're just hanging out, excavating fossils. But everybody's kind of cheek by jowl in there, all huddled together. I'll spend a whole stream in there once things are not as crowded. Later on in the next couple weeks, hopefully. Let's go take a peek around.
Growing up, and then I went.
There we go. Anything good over here yet?
All of a sudden, he's not in the highest position. Wow.
I mean, I got a little chunk of bone there.
Oh, okay.
But
somebody
I'm gonna step over here.
Yeah, you can go down the gully here. Yeah, I mean, I got the other piece of it there.
Again, this is just early days here, but we're
Little
already
something
finding
down.
bone.
So,
Nice.
an indication.
Yeah.
So you keep working down
Yep.
and across, over.
But not.
Oh, there's another little piece.
Oh, nice. Okay.
There's something.
More bone there.
Yeah.
Or I would show you, chat, but it's not really going to be super visible on camera. Don's applying a little bit of glue to that.
So it might hook up to something.
Is this paraloid B72?
Uh-huh.
Nice. Okay.
Acryloid, paraloid.
Yeah.
The British call it paraloid. Americans call it acryloid. But
Yeah, but B72 is
it's
the important one.
C17.
Basically,
yeah.
But essentially it's
learning about another culture and
So we'll hear about
like
this.
anything important, it has more than one name.
with their philosophies or not.
That's a good point, yeah. Yeah. B72 is some sort of a chemical formula or something? I don't know, I'm not a chemist.
Something about the
Yeah.
viscosity of it, or I don't know. Yeah, but they do make different numbers too.
Right, yeah.
Some preparators will use
B76.
different numbers for different
And certain ones are, good for different applications, but B72 seems to be the best one all around,
Yeah,
from what I understand.
that's the one. The one I know best.
Yeah. Ooh, we've got the Optivisor.
Family have to make some money. One of the goals is to immigrate to US, Canada, and whatnot. To get a better education. So that they do not need.
Looks a little more interesting with the Optivisor.
kind of like testing focus East Asian education.
Ah, yeah,
Is that a
okay.
question?
It might
It's
be.
very interesting.
Is there a way to
because
X-ray the
as
ground
I grew up,
so that we
my
don't have to dig the
family
bones out? That's exactly what Don is doing right now.
From, oh,
No.
American education,
There's not a way to do that.
therefore, like, you
Or
kind of
we
do
would-
things different ways.
even if there were, we probably couldn't
Now
afford
you've
it.
grown up,
Right.
you should
But
practice
there
point.
isn't a way to do that.
traditional.
Yeah.
You should
Oh.
know what the traditional, like, kind of
What Don's using right now, those just little magnifying glasses that go over
about, like, how,
his glasses.
you know, when
My
you
bionic
look at
eyes.
how
Yeah.
I
Go gadget fossil lookers.
Friendship, family relationship. So,
Helpful between the reading glasses and optivisor,
style,
like a 10-year-old.
family relationship goes beyond religion. It's like no matter what religion you're in,
But yeah, we had a question about like, can we somehow remote sense these fossils?
you don't
Can
have
we
to get
use X-rays or ground penetrating radar or magical AI something or other? No, the answer is no. The fossils that we're excavating in here are pretty much the same density as the surrounding rock, and it's just too similar, you know? The bone and the rock are... The way that you can think about it is that the fossils are just kind of like weird rocks in the rock. And so if you try to use ground penetrating radar, they won't show up. They're basically the same density, and they have other properties that are nearly identical to the rock around them. And also, like, what good would that do if it's like, oh, well, maybe that would be useful for finding fossils in a particular spot if you know that, like, oh, we're missing the skull, so we should look in this area. And that's been tried in a few cases, and there's been mild success a few times under very specific circumstances, but for our intents and purposes here, I'm going to tell you that that sort of thing just isn't really done. It's not really super possible. And the whole point is to excavate these fossils, to bring them back to the laboratory and then to the museum so that they can be studied. We need to actually have the physical objects in our possession. If you're just to scan the ground and be able to go, oh, there's a fossil there, what good would that really do you? We have to excavate this whole area anyway. So as we're doing that, we're collecting these fossils. Yeah, does that make sense? But yeah, best biological tool for the job are good old eyes. It's true, generic spinoff, yeah. Yeah. And digging for small gold. There you go, gyroflex. Except the gold is essentially the same density and oftentimes color as the surrounding rock. And it's often more delicate than the rock is. So, yeah. Again, if many of you new folks stick around for a couple weeks here and continue to watch these streams, you'll have a pretty good idea of how these excavations work and why we do things the way that we do them. It's not out of stubbornness that we still dig these fossils the old-fashioned way. It's because that's really the only way that works. If there were a better way to do it, then we'd latch onto that. But it's not like we're against the idea of using new technologies. It's just that those new technologies tend not to work. And I know that it's almost sacrilege to say that on a platform like Twitch, you know? Like, oh yeah, technology being useless? What are you talking about? But I don't know, in most cases here, there's not really a way to improve on the old-fashioned way of doing things, you know? We're digging through these rocks very carefully with fine-scale hand tools. We're outlining the perimeters of these bones, and then we cover them with plaster jackets, and then we flip that over and jacket the underside of it to form a protective cocoon so we can get it back to the laboratory without it crumbling. That's the way that it's been done since the 1870s. And there have been small improvements made along the way, but for the most part, that's the way we still do it because that's the only way that really works. Yeah. That being said, we do have other bits of technology that help us out a good deal. One of them is right behind me. An automobile. They didn't have those back in the 1870s. But this is essential for getting us out here to the desert, for hauling around supplies, for going back to town to get water and stuff like that. You know, big shout out to motor vehicles. They've been a real game changer for paleontology. So have other things like well, digital photography, being able to take pictures at a site like this, and you can kind of document your progress as you're working. That's really important too. And other things that are kind of peripheral but still really nice to have are things like satellite internet. It's the reason I can stream to you right now, is because we've got little satellites up in space that can transmit data back and forth. And so I can communicate with you at home even though I'm miles and miles from the nearest civilization. You know, we don't have electricity out here, so, you know, we take advantage of solar power in order to run this kind of thing. This has been a game changer for me personally, and it's really nice to have internet here in the quarry. People can make phone calls and get text messages and check social media if they want to. We're a lot less isolated than we used to be out in the field. Back when I started digging dinosaurs in 2011, we didn't have satellite internet. And so didn't even have cell phone coverage in most of the places I was digging. So, you know, it might be days until you get even the tiniest bit of news from back home. We know what's going on in the world. Here, we have that at our fingertips, which is really nice. So yeah, those are new technological advantages that we have here. New things that we can take advantage of, rather. Yeah. Which horse drawn? Exactly, Chilan. Yeah. An Arendelle AI glasses to mark already excavated rocks. No, what we have here is called. It works better. It's called a scoop. Here. So, this is a very technical piece of equipment. Very expensive, precise. It's called a scoop. You can get it at an agricultural supply store or your hardware store. It's made of this modern material called plastic.
You want to see a plant root?
Sure.
Bit of plant
She
material.
found one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just that purple stuff.
There we go. Excellent, yeah.
Some kind of
Fossil plant
plant.
material. Nice. Yeah.
Very cool. Oh.
We're going to look back on this in a week and think it's very charming that we're getting excited about a plant root. But this is the right time to get excited about it, is at the beginning. We're building things up. Anyway, I was just explaining the concept of a scoop to the chat.
Oh,
Does anybody
it is
want to wax lyrical
complicated.
about that? Yeah.
It's so they're hard to find. They make such a difference. You can
They're
move
so efficient.
dirt and rocks from here to here
There you go.
more than one piece at a time. Like, look at that capacity.
Yeah.
Look, without the scoop, we would be nowhere close to here.
Yeah. And the reason why the scoop is important, as I was explaining to folks, is, you know, as we've moved these rocks around, we kind of put them in rock purgatory for a minute before we send them to the rock afterlife. Just in case we're digging here and we find a chunk of bone or something, and you go, wait, there's a piece missing. Where did it go? You can look in your bucket
Yes.
before the bucket gets thrown down the hill.
And
Yeah.
it's great. It's also, I think, a really good thing about field paleontology, how like accessibly you can get all of the tools you need for it. You can go
Yeah.
to a hardware shop, a gardening shop, and get the scoop,
Exactly.
the brush.
Yeah, we might need to get a new one in that case
Nicer
because
brush.
it's looking awful short, that whisk broom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is
The whisk broom too that started off probably twice as long. Yeah.
I'm actually quite liking the smallness.
It is nice because it's stiffer when it's like
Yeah,
that, which can
so
be
this
nice.
is targeted and good.
But yeah. So anyway, the point that Laura's making is all this stuff is extremely expensive and technical and hard to find, and that's why we get paid the big bucks to be out here, you know? Yeah.
Very technical.
Anyway, yeah. Thank you, Laura.
Oh, you are so welcome.
And thank you, Jameson, for showing us the beautiful plant root as well.
Of course.
We'll find many, many more of those, I think. But yeah. Anyway, Ms. Blue Skies makes a good point too. Like, having really simple equipment is helpful. Because, like, we're in a pretty harsh environment here. There's dust blowing around everywhere. There's intense sun. We get sudden rainstorms and stuff like that, as we had yesterday and last night. The more low-tech something is, often the better it is for these kinds of conditions. It's a little nerve-wracking bringing things like solar batteries and laptop computers out. Here's Don's computer. He had to like log some hours and check some work stuff with that. But like, I don't like to bring my streaming laptop out here because it'd get full of dust, you know, and I don't want that. I'm really lucky that this thing has held up as well as it has, my stream encoder. But it's built for IRL streaming like this, and it's also full of dust, but it's still chugging along. The more simple a device is, the more comfortable we are often using it out here in the field. Like, anything that's really temperamental and finicky, it's probably not cut out for field work, you know? And likewise, when we as paleontologists are choosing new implements to bring out to the field, you know, I was going to say we would shy away from stuff that's too new or fancy, but it's not even that. It's not really a choice. For the most part, it's like, we can't afford the newest, fanciest stuff. Out here, when we're working on this crew, when we're working out here, our budget for 3 weeks is like, well, it's like a few $1,000s. That's food, that's fuel, that's tools, that's digging implements, shade tarp pieces, everything else. It's like a few grand. That's it. You should see our camp. I showed it off a bit last year during a rain day. We've got like cooking stoves and grills that are like 40 years old, and they barely work. Most of them don't really work at all. We've got one working burner in camp right now. We have to cook all of our meals on. And, you know, heat up water for coffee and tea and everything else. One burner for 12 people. Only one of them works out of the many that we have. Stuff like that. You know, we're working on a shoestring budget out here. So I apologize if I was a little bit snarky, a little bit too cheeky about, like, oh yeah, new technology. Bleh. But we can't afford that kind of thing, and the conditions out here don't usually permit that. And even something like satellite internet is a total huge luxury out here, and I'm really proud to be able to provide that to the crew. You know, this is all my gear over here, and it's weird to have this at a field site. It's bizarre. This is not typical. This is very unusual. So I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Anywho. It is Starlink, Bard Custom Leather, yeah. Which, it works most of the time, which is nice. I kind of wish there were an alternative, but right now that's the only game in town. Speaking of harsh conditions, I gotta move some of this stuff to the side, because as the sun moves across the sky, the shadows also move, and I'm trying to keep the stuff in the shade. Especially the water bottles with ice in them. They will soon be under the sun's deadly beams, unless I move them. There we go. Speaking of sun, we're lucky that it's not as hot today as it was yesterday. But what is our current temperature? Let's look. Nice, yeah. Significantly cooler than yesterday, I think. 104 Fahrenheit. Happy. We'll compare that to this other thermometer. I like to cross-check sometimes, because each one has their own little quirks and stuff. Sometimes they disagree. This one's been in the shade, under here in a little pouch on my backpack. 97.3 Fahrenheit. And you can use the chat bot. I think Nightbot will convert that to Celsius for you if you ask nicely. And 24% humidity is really humid for out here. It was up past 40 earlier today. And that was just oppressively humid for this area. We're used to dealing with like single-digit humidity percentages out here. So 40 was bonkers, and I was not enjoying that earlier. 24 is creeping back down toward what's normal for this area. Yeah. And yeah, 24% is very humid for here, Pate B. At least I think so. We've seen it where it was like 3% humidity. Very, very, very dry. Yeah. And thank you, Generic. Ko-Fi donation. Really appreciate that. Can I check on that? Ko-Fi. Thank you, Generic Spinoff. Always appreciate you taking us with your paleo. Thank you, Generic Spinoff, for your donation. Really appreciate that. If I need to, I might actually. I've been thinking about maybe buying a new grill for the crew, if we can't fix our old one, and so I might spend that money on a new grill. Don't tell the crewmates, but we'll see. That would be something that would go a long way toward improving our quality of life out here. But thank you. Generic Spinoff, really appreciate that. You're the most prestigious of brand names in my book, Generic Spinoff. That's very generous of you. Thank you. And Gyroflex says, I'm English, brother. I love what you do. I will be sure to see what goes on. Thank you, Gyroflex. Do you want to meet the Brits on our crew, by the way? We've got 2 English people on our crew. Unless you got to run, I understand. I know it's late there. But I can introduce you to Laura and Raheem. Laura is German and English, but Raheem is English through and through. Let's see the Brits? You bet. Yeah. All right. We've got a request from an English person in the chat to meet the Brits on the crew.
Oh.
So, Raheem, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, so I'm Raheem. I'm a PhD student from University of Birmingham.
Nice.
Supervised by Richard Butler.
Nice. Yeah, we had Richard on our stream briefly last September when he came out to Laurie's site in the Cedar Mountains. So it was cool having him on camera for a little bit. We talked about the Triassic. And,
yeah, cool.
Yeah. So it's been great having Raheem. Raheem, this is not your first fieldwork, right?
No, so this is my first fieldwork in the US.
Nice. Okay.
But I have done lots of fieldwork in Europe, particularly in the UK where I'm from, but also in other countries like Germany and Poland as well.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So, but how is the American heat treating you so far?
It's good. I think the tarp is definitely helping.
Oh yeah, these are a lifesaver. Holy cow. Yeah.
But yeah, it's great. I mean, the scenery is just absolutely magnificent.
Yeah.
So that's definitely making me. It's making the experience a lot more enjoyable.
I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I'm like dying, I just look up and see the mountains, and I'm like, okay, this is worth it. So,
well said. Yeah.
So yeah, it's great to be here. And, yeah,
I'm glad to hear you.
I'm definitely keen to come back again next year. So.
Nice. Laura here is also from the UK and from Germany.
I am indeed.
And from Scotland?
Yes.
So when I say the UK, I guess that encompasses Scotland.
Yes.
Yeah.
Great Britain, I'm not sure about, but
yeah.
Oh, I can't remember because I don't.
Wait, no, Great Britain is the island, right? Which Scotland is part of.
Yeah, don't. If it's about Scotland, I can tell you. If it's about things with England, I don't know. Apart from the fact I do go to university in England, but that doesn't. I don't do geography, so.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, paleontologist, not a geographer.
Thank you.
And we're getting a lot of love for the Brits on the crew.
Aww, so. Thank you.
Yeah. Hope you're not too homesick or anything.
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah.
I love being in the field, and this is such a great group of. Yeah, this is like the best people to be in the field with. So.
Any advice for any Brits who might want to come out and do field work in the US?
Make sure you have enough money.
Yeah. Always a good thing.
Save up.
Yeah.
Bring some sun cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talk to some people who do field work in the US as a start.
Yeah.
That was how I got into it.
Okay, yeah.
So.
Perennial question, any American treats to gravitate toward or avoid? Any foods, candies, drinks, anything like that have impressed or depressed you?
American sliced bread.
No. Sliced bread is
fair.
Absolutely
not.
Well, what is a blessing and a terrible thing is how everything is globalized. So a few years ago, it would be things did not exist in Europe, so that would be a really
Reese's
exciting.
peanut butter cups?
Yeah, and about 5, 8, 10 years, I don't know.
Yeah.
In the last decade or so, they've really migrated over. So it used to be like, oh my goodness, this is like peanut butter chocolate things were so, but now they're much more available. So
Everything's kind of homogenized a bit.
the excitement is less.
Yeah.
I think
A blessing and a curse, I
Latin
guess.
American, Mexican cuisine
Yeah.
just in America is
It's pretty good here.
yeah, it's so much better than it's going to be in the UK. So just like any burrito trucks, burrito stands, anything like that.
There we
Yes, that is.
Raheem, have you had that yet? There's the taco truck in Green River that
No,
is
but I am
fantastic.
going back to Green River on Tuesday, so
Nice.
hopefully you'll get a chance to go to.
Yeah,
go
yeah,
to the taco place,
absolutely
yeah.
do that if you get the
I will be
chance.
hijacking Matt. I'll take you to the station just to go to the burrito.
Nice, yeah. Oh, you're taking the train?
Yeah, I'm getting the train back to Salt Lake City from.
Oh,
Green
okay,
River,
nice, yeah, yeah. I really like Amtrak, but I took it to Denver from California back in February. Maybe not as nice as your trains in the UK, but or at least
Maybe not as
pre-privatization.
nice as the German trains.
There you go.
Not the
Fair.
UK trains.
Yeah, yeah.
I think UK trains are probably slightly better than the US, but the UK trains are not as good as continental Europe trains.
Yep. And not as good as they used to be, right? There's been a lot of
Yeah.
privatization.
Definitely not. No.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you both. Appreciate that.
More
It's
than
been
welcome.
Nice to meet you.
UK time with Raheem and Laura. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. It's really cool having people from different parts of the world share their perspectives, and I don't know. It's nice kind of seeing things through their eyes, being like, oh, you know, I've been working out here this is my 5th year working out here, and I'm not going to say that this ever gets old, but it's a nice reminder when you hear from somebody who's not from around here, and they go, this is really remarkable. Just this landscape is worth the trip. Oh, you know what? This is pretty special, isn't it? I better not get jaded about this. You know, I better recognize how special it is. Yeah. Claire says, we have trains here in the U.S.? I know, right? You gotta go out of your way to find them, but they're there. Yeah. And the Dutch trains are the best, but I'm biased as a train driver. Oh, ooh, big old wasp. Who is that? Ooh, hey, Buggo friend. Who are you? Are you dying? There's like a dead ant. R.I.P. That's not the bug that buzzed by. But let's get you into the shade, huh? Would that be better? Maybe you can recover down there. Anyway, yeah, I've heard the trains in Europe are pretty excellent. I'm very jealous as an American. I like trains. I'm from the Bay Area. We have Bay Area Rapid Transit, the BART trains where I live, and those are, I grew up with those, you know? It's a big part of who I am, really. I would not be here today were it not for public transit like that. That's how I first got to go work at the museum in Berkeley before I could drive, you know, before I had a driver's license. That's how I got around. I would not be where I am today were it not for those opportunities, those doors that were open to me through Bay Area Rapid Transit, through public transit in general. That sort of thing is important, and I really wish we had more of that here in the U.S. So I'm jealous of your Dutch trains for sure. But yeah. And Lordy says, I'm on a train right now. I love trains. That's awesome, Lord. Lordy's on Amtrak right now. You went up to Sacramento, right? Awesome. I hope you're having a good day, Lordy. It's good to see you. You'll be pleased to know it's not as hot today as it was yesterday. It's a very pleasant 102 degrees. Yeah, it's dropping. Excellent. That's Fahrenheit, thankfully, not Celsius. But yeah. Oh, and that's awesome, Casey. I'm jealous. I've never gotten to take the train in Europe. Yeah. And any updates on the Cedar Mountain Allosauride? I don't think so, Dr. Tara, but we'll talk to Ethan and Jim when they get here. I don't think we have much more material from that. I would have heard about it, I think, if we had more material popping out in the lab from one of those jackets. But we might find more here, you know? Digging here in this quarry. That's one of the cool things. It's almost like a slot machine or something. I don't know if that's painting it in a positive light, but you know, as you continue to dig through here, you never know what you're going to find. Like, is this going to be another iguanodont rib? Is it going to be an ankylosaur armor scute, an osteoderm? Are we going to find pieces of this elusive allosauriod? Who knows, you know? But that's the cool thing about watching live, is you get to find it as we're finding it. Like, you'll know about it as soon as we find it. Yeah, just try to cultivate some FOMO here, I guess.
I would. Dawn will be much best. Like, you know, Dawn is the expert.
Oh, do we want to take a look?
Don,
I think it's.
I'm the best.
I think it's some plant matter.
Oh, what'd you
Found
find?
plant mat. I don't know.
I think
Colors.
it's a cross section of some plants.
I'm going to step right here if that's okay.
You could just come in.
Yeah, let's see. Just that little wall right there.
Okay, yeah. Nice little juncture there, and then
Paleobotany.
Yes.
Waiting for you.
let's see. Looking for plant.
Right there. That little black stuff.
No, I think that's just a joint between two rock surfaces.
What?
But good eyes, though. I mean, yeah. That's the thing, is that if you're not going, hey, what's this? This is cool, for every 10 times that it actually turns out to be cool, then you're probably not being attentive enough. So it's a good thing that you keep finding stuff and calling us over, because it means that you're paying attention.
I still think you're the best.
So yeah.
I was worried about that. Just ruined my whole reputation.
You're going to find something really cool here, and it'll be before you know it.
Yeah, my plan is to flatten this out and then just go down.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, you can kind of take it at an angle kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming over.
Sure, I needed to stand up. My butt was falling asleep. Gain a gut, lose a butt.
I should drink water before I forget. Is everybody drinking enough water? All right, cool. It's important to stay hydrated out here. Because even though it is a very humid 24% humidity, give or take. Whoa. Whoa, hey, Buggo. Oh, big ol'. Oh, look at you. Huge robber fly here. Oh man, hold still. Let's see if I can get a picture of you for iNaturalist. Huge robber fly.
At least I noticed something. That means I'm learning.
Lighting conditions. You were in like a uniquely bad spot, robber fly, but we can at least give chat a good look at you. This beautiful creature is a robber fly. So this is one of our favorite insects out here because they eat mosquitoes, they eat biting flies, they eat horse flies and deer flies. They are aerial predators. This area is generally too dry for dragonflies, but robber flies like this, you'll find them around. They like to hang out around us because if we attract any biting insects, they will go and eat those biting insects. They are raptorial predators. They are creatures to be respected and admired. Look at you. Yeah. Oh, and you're eating another bug. Holy cow, look at that. Here, let me grab my magnifying glass. But so I can show you in better detail, chat. But let's see. Come on, where's my magnifying glass? Ha! There we go. I'll make sure not to put. We're not going to Hans Moleman you. We're not going to burn you with the magnifying glass. We're going to put it on the other side of the sun. There we go. Look at you. Yeah, nice. And there's your victim there. You're chowing down on. Nice, nice, nice. Very cool. There's a huge robber fly over here if anybody wants to see. It's eating another bug. A huge robber fly. Really cool. It's one of the bigger ones I've seen. It's got, I think, like a winged ant in its jaws. Or I guess under its proboscis.
I remember you mentioned it a couple
Yeah,
days ago.
right here.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah,
You weren't joking. They're big.
yeah, really cool. And they don't hurt
mouth,
us,
yeah.
but they'll eat anything that tries to bite us.
He's
which
got
is
an
nice.
hand in his mouth, right?
Yeah, pretty cool, right? Yeah. Awesome. I love robber flies. They're always fun.
They don't have as long as the tails aren't as long as I thought they'd be.
Yeah.
Like you know how like dragonflies have like
Yeah.
stupidly long.
Mhm.
But, like,
I don't know what
kinda
these guys are
compact.
related to. I think they are part of Diptera. I think they are like part of the True Flies group. But I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, because they had that same kind of build almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Really cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. Hey, well, we got you here, Chemo.
Yeah.
Thank you for the shout out on Instagram this morning. Let's return the favor here. Yeah, Chemo, what's your Instagram handle and what are you doing on Instagram nowadays?
My Instagram handle for the Paleo account is
Yeah.
Chemo Finds Dinos, no spaces.
Yeah.
Chemo is spelled K-I-M-O. Basically, you know, just giving like daily updates. If something interesting happens, I'm sure I'll post it on there.
Nice.
Definitely post links to the stream here for anyone who might not know it. I mean, of course, everybody here knows about it. But yeah, just, you know,
Yeah.
because this is my first like real time out here, so I'm just
Nice.
trying to document it for my friends, my family, myself.
Yeah.
You know.
Back home in Pennsylvania, people probably don't.
Not really. I didn't either. The closest thing we got to it is like coal mines.
Yeah. Fossils, you know?
That
Yeah.
You do
Fossil
get
plants.
some. Yeah, you get some good stuff there. Like
Yeah.
you get like Dunkleosteus over in the northwest corner. You
Nice.
get like other placoderms, like
Yeah.
stuff like that, like Devonian age,
Uh-huh.
Carboniferous age stuff. But like nothing nearly this good.
No iguanodonts.
No.
Yeah.
It's not really a dinosaur state.
Yeah. Lots of cool stuff about Pennsylvania. And you've got some lovely museums there too, like in
Yes.
Philly and in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
But
the Carnegie.
yeah,
is really nice.
We were just collecting fossils for them in Wyoming back in June. So yeah.
Yeah, and then you also got like some of the local museums, like for example, the North Museum in Lancaster. It's like a little quaint one, but
Nice. Okay.
it's still pretty good quality for how small it is.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you're an undergrad nowadays?
Yes, I just finished my freshman year.
Congrats on surviving. Yeah.
Yeah. Took a little bit, but we got it.
Yeah.
So moving into sophomore year now, kind of chugging along, you know.
Yeah.
Getting opportunities like this is really helpful for me because, as we mentioned before,
Yeah.
Pennsylvania ain't all that when it comes to dinos. So this is like my only real opportunity to do like actual paleo work because don't really have that much over there. But yeah.
Cool. It's been great having you on the crew so far, and you're gonna find some good stuff. You're
Absolutely,
gonna
I
have
hope
lots of cool
so.
stories.
It's been great having you here.
I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that, Chemo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. I'll let you get out of the sun
All right, thank
before we both burn up. I'm gonna grab some more water. Probably finished eating that ant. But yeah. And did we get a shout out? I didn't actually see, but did we get a shout out for Chemo's Instagram? I know he'd appreciate some follows. And if you guys want another window into what we're doing out here, that's what he's providing. Yeah. And Raike, or Ben, how are you doing? Welcome to Paleontologizing. Yeah. You got any entomologists on the team to overshare with us about the robber fly? Unfortunately not, Mirrorspace, no. Is that what we're doing? Are we... I like the idea of talking about scientific concepts as oversharing. Appreciate you, Mirrorspace. Yeah. Like, dude, TMI, all this scientific data, these paleontological concepts. Too much information. I don't think I've looked at my watch once since we started. What time is it? It's like 4:15. Okay, got about another 45 minutes or so here. Yeah, TMD. There you go. Yeah. Ace of Spades is any new dinosaur fossils at the site? We've got a few. They don't look like much yet, but we've got a few bones starting to poke out. Probably ribs. It's always a safe bet. Some of them looks long and thin, like, it's probably rib. But the stuff is here, you know? We're just starting off, obviously. Like, some of us are not even really at the bone layer horizon yet. But slow and steady wins this race. You want to work carefully here, so you don't dig through the bones. And over the next few days, We're gonna start to find more and more stuff, and pretty soon we're gonna have more bones than we know what to do with. That's how it typically goes out here. But yeah. And tested. I'm not sure I know what you mean, Gyroflex. What? Yeah. Story of my life, says Bard. Custom leather. Nice. Yeah. What is the most fragile dinosaur fossil? Asks Ace of Spades. The most fragile dinosaur fossil. That's a good question. Something like, I was thinking like a bird hyoid. That'd be pretty fragile. No, they don't have inner ear bones, do they?
Okay, bones.
They have stapes. Okay. Yeah.
But they don't have the whole tympani, etc.
Right. Yeah. Of course. It's a mammal thing.
I would probably say something that's like impression or integument, in which like it's fragile both because it's like two-dimensionally smashed, but also because if your goal of prepping that fossil is to get to the bone, that thing's gonna get destroyed.
Right, you would just prep right through. That's a great point, Henry.
So
here I'm thinking about bones, and you're thinking outside the box. I appreciate that.
There's this one Protoceratops skull in the American Museum of Natural History. There are still black and white photos of it on the internet, but right now the skull's still there, but they prepped all the surface stuff away. And I think for a while it was thought that it's one of those dino mummy situations
where there's preserved skin and
integument on the Protoceratops face.
Nice, shoot.
Oh, and it's all gone now.
Because they prepped through it, I guess. Yeah, it happens.
The Berlin Archaeopteryx actually had a similar story.
Yeah.
In the original, on the hind limbs were still there, and it was an illustration.
And they prepped them off?
They prepped them off because they want to see bones.
Oh boy. I mean, that happens more often than we realize. I was talking with Steve Clausen, the preparator at Badlands Dinosaur Museum, and he's like, yeah, we're probably prepping through skin way more often than we realize. Like, it's less rare than people would imagine. But like, you have to do weird things in the lab to be able to see it.
Right.
So use like infrared light, use ultraviolet light, stuff like that. And yeah, thank you, Henry. Yeah, that's excellent input there. So yeah, most fragile dinosaur fossil is probably skin that we find on these things. Though I should say that we normally don't find on these things. Sometimes we don't notice it's there, and it just gets dug through or prepped through. It's a sad thought, you know, that there's all of these data there that no one recognizes, and then it gets destroyed. But you live and learn, you know. We're always trying to improve our methods all the time. That's why we do things like publish papers and have scientific conferences. We talk to each other about these things. We learn new methods. We share tips and tricks. And, you know, here's stuff to avoid. Yeah. But yeah, like we were talking with Steve Clausen just a few weeks ago back in Montana about how fossil skin on dinosaurs probably not that rare. Not as rare as people think. If you have a well-preserved skeleton, you got to be really careful because you might actually have skin there, and it's so incredibly thin that you can only really see it from the outside. It's so thin that even in cross it, and you might just dig straight through it or prep straight through it if you're in the lab. You know, air scribe can become a destructive implement if not wielded with the utmost care. But yeah, that's a harrowing thought. Like, oh boy, just think of all the specimens that had skin on them that nobody saw the skin and just got prepped off. Yeah. Bard Custom Leather says, do you think we will ever find the whole picture in the dinosaur timeline, or are they too deep? No, I mean, we already do. We have dinosaurs from the very beginning of the dinosaurs' reign, from the Triassic, and we have dinosaurs from the very end. Lots of them from the end of the Cretaceous. Depth is not the problem. So when we're digging here in Utah, these dinosaurs that we're excavating are about halfway through the age of dinosaurs. And they're right here on the surface. We find these things on the surface. That's how this site originally got discovered, as there were bits of dinosaur bone just sticking out. Like fragments that are just spilling out of, you know, the... I was going to say out of a hillside, But that's the weird thing. Doling's Bowl, this particular valley we're in, is kind of weird, and that nearly all the bones are from the valley floor. Normally when we're looking along these spots where you get a ton of erosion, hillsides, canyons, it's all on the valley floor. But anyway, the point is that this stuff is exposed. We don't dig a great big deep hole to find dinosaur fossils. They're on the surface. That's why you go to a beautiful place like this with all of this gorgeous exposed rock right there that you can see with your eyeballs. No shovel necessary. You walk along and you pick up bits of stuff and you go, is this bone? No, that's rock. Is this bone? No, we got some churty stuff there. You do that until you find some bone, and then you follow it in. And then once you find the source, then you actually start digging. But it's not like this stuff is buried thousands of feet deep. It's right here on the surface. And in different parts of the world, you have different ages of rock that are on the surface. Sometimes it's really young. If we're talking about dinosaurs, maybe from the very end of the Cretaceous period. Maybe it's from the very beginning of the Cretaceous period, like here. Or even older, back in the Triassic. It's about different parts of the world have different ages of rocks exposed on the surface. That's why this particular valley is so special, is we've got a ton of rock from the Cedar Mountain Formation, from the very bottom of the Cedar Mountain Formation, that's yielding tons of dinosaur fossils. In another parts of this little valley, you can even find little bits of the Morrison Formation peeking up from the Jurassic. The rocks underneath these layers are Jurassic in age, and there's a few spots here where they're poking up, and you can see them with your eyes. And if you were to dig, like take a drill rig and dig way down deep, take a big core sample, then you could get, a nice plug and go, okay, Cedar Mountain, Morrison, and then whatever's underlying the Morrison in this area, you'd get that too. But again, the way that we find things is they're on the surface, and then we find little bits and then we dig in from there. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Any Mosasaurus bones, Ace of Spades asks. No, not here, because that's a big ocean-going lizard, mosasaurs. They are from this area. In fact, if you look off in that direction, I'll turn the camera. So you see the horizon? Those are the Book Cliffs over there. And then there's 70 just before that. But then there's some low-lying yellow hills in front. It's not at the horizon, and it's not down here, but it's kind of in the middle, those yellow hills. Those, I wish Jim were here to explain this. I think that's either the Juana Lopez or maybe the Mancos Shale. If it's Mancos Shale, then that means that you're going to have mosasaurs in there. Those rocks are younger than these, so they're from after in time, when there was a big seaway that flooded the middle of North America. And so you'll find fossils of fishes and lots of shelled organisms, mollusks, bivalves, ammonites in there, and mosasaurs in those rocks. That's from the bottom of this ancient seaway. So that's when there was an ocean here, but prior to that, this was dry land. Or at least terrestrial sediments. It was still swampy. What we're digging in here, this represents kind of an ancient wetland, swamp, floodplain kind of area. Really muddy, mucky stuff. But anyway, to find mosasaurs, you got to go to what was an ancient ocean. So in this case, only a few miles that way, you could maybe go find some mosasaurs. Does that make sense? Yeah. So again, where you're digging, or where you're prospecting, that determines what kind of fossils you're going to find, because that's different ages of rocks will be in different places. Yeah. And how are your rocks, sir? Oh, sorry, I missed you. That's Mancos there. Thank you, Ed. Excellent. So there will be more. We've got Ed Simpson in the chat. Anybody want to say hi to Ed? What's up, yeah. Wanted to say hi. He confirmed for me that is Mancos out there when we were talking about mosasaurs. Oh. But yeah, Ed, we really appreciate your support. Thanks again for sending us some funds for this. We're trying to stay well fed out here, and that's thanks to you. So thank you for that.
Well, hold up, I got something to say. That
Yeah?
I'll get that abstract done when I get back home. I promise you.
Nice.
I got
Okay.
you.
Nice.
That's funny because that's what Ed was just about to ask.
Excellent. Well, now he knows. Yeah. We're taking good care of Chemo out here, and everybody else on the cruise. So, yeah, we haven't had to eat anybody yet, which is good. Keep us well fed, Ed. Although, especially me, I'm a vegetarian, so I'd probably be the first one to get eaten. I'm lowest on the trophic web. Thanks for helping keep me from getting eaten, Ed. Ace of Spades says, how much training does it take to be a paleontologist? People in the chat are probably going, well, probably not much, given the way that this guy's talking. I'll answer that question in depth in a minute. Hold on to it. But, Ed says he'll be here Friday, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. We're looking for Ed. That's going to be awesome. So yeah, a week from today, I guess, because today is Friday. Very cool. Excellent. And Filippo says, I'll get that abstract / manuscript ready ASAP. When you say this thing, you can say, I'm a researcher. Exactly, Filippo, yeah. That's a common refrain of the academic. Like, yeah, sorry, I don't have the manuscript done yet. I could almost hear that shouted over the horizon. We'll get it done soon. We'll get that thing submitted. Anyhow, and Jamira, thank you for the welcome back. I appreciate that. I've been striving to make today's stream a little bit less chaotic and freewheeling than yesterday's. But we're still kind of setting up and still feeling a little goofy. But let me get serious for a minute. How much training does it take to be a paleontologist? That's an excellent question, and there's no short definitive answer for it. When you ask that, you're kind of asking, what is a paleontologist? What does it take to be a paleontologist? And if I were to try and come up with a short answer for that, it's a paleontologist is someone who does paleontology, which means that they perform paleontological work like field work or lab work, and they publish on it. If there's a single litmus test, it's probably that. Are you contributing to the literature? Are you sharing your science with other people? Are you driving the field forward through your work? There are people who say, well, if you excavate fossils, you're a paleontologist. Or if you just really love ancient life, yeah, you're a paleontologist. Maybe, but if there's a real, here's the cutoff, there's your litmus test, there's your determiner, it's, do you publish papers as a paleontologist? Then you are one, I would say. I think it's hard to come up with a definition, but yeah. And so what kind of training does it take to do that? It's not really a hard and fast definition there either. I know paleontologists who have made tremendous contributions to the field who maybe they only have a high school diploma, or maybe not even that, and yet they are actively contributing to their field of research. They're discovering new species, they're figuring out how they fit into the great tree of life. There are people who do geological work who might not have a formal academic degree, but they've been doing biostratigraphy since the time they were 9 years old, and yeah. So it's not necessarily that only when you have a PhD can you call yourself a paleontologist. There's lots and lots of exceptions to that, for sure. I'm going to take this question and I'm going to try and turn it into some advice. That's what I'm going to try and do here. If anyone watching wants to be a paleontologist or get involved with paleontology, my advice to you would be, do it. We've got people here on our crew who they don't necessarily have any formal training in paleontology. this is where they're getting that formal training, by digging up dinosaurs. They're learning on the job. You don't necessarily have to have a formal degree or any kind of experience to do this sort of work. I'll prove it to you. Let's go walk around real quick and
there's two colleges that are my favorites right now. There's the University of Utah.
we'll ask some people about their level of experience in this field, just to show you that it really runs the gamut. We've got people who have been doing this professionally for a long time, and people who are doing this for the very first time. Don, how long have you been in paleontology? We're going to do like a go around and just ask everybody this.
Well, I started studying it as an undergraduate in probably in 1980.
Okay.
Yeah, and then my first field expedition would have been 1985.
Nice. Okay.
So,
How long have you been assistant state paleontologist?
well, this October I'll have been with the survey for 25 years.
25 years, a quarter century. Nice. Yeah. Kimo, how long have you been doing paleo? Again, we're making the point that like it takes
Yeah.
all kinds. Yeah.
I mean, I guess like so just finishing out freshman year, I guess 1 year then.
Nice.
I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Cool. And the like first desert field work here, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Macy, how long have you been doing paleontology?
Well, for as long as I've been with Henry.
Yeah.
So I would say 6 years.
Nice. Okay.
More like museum-based work, but this is the second year we're out excavating. So
Yeah.
it's been fun.
And your field of expertise is
Neuroscience.
neuroscience. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. Did you think you'd end up out in the middle of the desert doing this kind of thing when you started with
A 7-year-old
neuroscience?
girl did.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
me as a child, this is actually what I wanted to do, but I was steered away from geology school when I was going for the first time. So
Okay.
But
Well, you still made it out here.
I
so.
did.
Yeah.
You never know.
Henry, how long have you been doing paleo?
I would say, let's see, 2026. I would say probably formally since 2006. That's when yeah.
Nice. Okay.
So I would say, yeah. When I was in college, I was a biology major, ecology and evolution, because my school did not have a paleontology program. But I dug with Montana State University, Museum Rockies for
That's
2
where I got my
years.
start.
Yeah. And but then my paleo was mostly lab research and lab research, museum, and digital work. Mainly anatomy connections and whatnot. So did a whole lot of museum work, and these 2 years I was into field paleontology.
Nice.
And I was very well convinced to do so.
Did you have a role in that? Nicely done. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Thanks. All right. Kai, how long have you been doing paleo? Just kind of doing a little survey and showing people in the chat that it takes all kinds.
My first official time was in 2021. I went up to Wyoming, but
Nice.
I grew up in northern Utah. I lived in Vernal for a couple years. So
Oh, really?
Me and my
You
brother.
caused dinosaur land.
Yeah, me and my brother were digging out in the backyard, convinced we'd find something.
Nice.
Never did, but
Cool.
I guess my first experience was there.
Nice. Okay.
But yeah,
Cool.
first official was up in Wyoming in 2001.
Awesome. Crystal, how long have you been doing paleontology?
I have never, not ever.
Yeah.
So for about 2 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 days now.
Nice.
So I actually do environmental and natural resources, so I'm really more into the ecology of how the ecosystem has changed.
Yeah.
And a lot of that does show up in things like the bones and stuff
Absolutely,
like that.
yeah.
And also,
Yeah.
my instructors got me really interested in it, so I thought I'd give it a try.
Very cool. Yeah, it's been great having you on here.
Thanks.
Yeah. Raheem, how long have you been doing paleo?
So I've been doing paleo since my bachelor's, which I started in 2019.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
about 7 years. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So it's neat that we've got like a mixture of formal training and people who are interested in this and people who are like just kind of getting started.
I'm not happy with
Yeah.
unevenness like this. That's okay.
For the sake of completeness, I got to interrupt. Laura, how long have you been doing paleo?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Uh-huh.
I think officially, like 2.5 years or so.
Nice.
But I did do, in my undergraduate, my final year, I did I believe it was called Vertebrate Evolution, but it was a very paleo course.
Of course it would be, yeah.
I did do Earth Sciences in the first year of my undergrad.
Nice.
And I did it purely for the paleo section, which ended up being like 3 lectures of the year and 2 weeks on foramina and like bivalve fossils. Which,
those inverts.
I was quite disappointed with, especially the amount of geological maps and like polarization, magnetism of things where I'm like, I don't care, can we just do some paleo?
So you're saying that the formal training aspect of this has not been as important as like the hands-on stuff?
Yeah. Basically, from starting my master's, where it was just like, cool, you are a paleontologist now, here's a bunch of fossils, work on them.
Nice.
That,
Yeah.
And that's, the last.
Cool, okay. Yeah. And then Jameson, how long have you been doing paleontology?
28 hours.
Excellent, yeah.
I think you did a lot of prep for it, though.
Yeah, well, you've been interested in dinosaurs for a long time, clearly.
Well, I think I emailed, it was either Jim or Don in like September.
Nice,
so, 8 months.
Yeah, excellent, yeah. And where are you in school right now?
I'm going into my senior year of high school.
Very nice.
And I'm taking anatomy and physiology, which I'm very excited about.
Awesome. Yeah. Man, you're gonna have so many cool stories after this. Yeah. People are gonna be so jealous.
You're gonna be the coolest.
So there you have it, chat. You know, how much formal training do you have to come out and do this kind of work? None. It's not like it hurts, but lots of different people with different backgrounds, different levels of experience, people of different ages and different inclinations. People who've already had careers in certain areas where they're like, I want to come out and do this. I think I could be helpful. And people who are just starting their careers. I hope that kind of paints a picture for you of, you know, it takes all kinds, you know? And Ace of Spades says, the reason I asked this is because I'm stuck between paleontology and astronomy. So I was curious about any training. Thanks. You bet. Yeah. I hope that wasn't too long of an explanation. But it's nice to get to know members of the crew, too. We're getting 2 birds stoned at once here. But yeah, one of the things that I really love about fossil science is that it is, in many ways, it's a public-facing science. Like, just regular people you meet on the street, they're interested in this. Like, digging up dinosaurs, everybody thinks that's cool. And, you know, excavating and studying fossils in general is cool too. I'm a dinosaur guy, so, you know, I'm going to be a little dinosaur biased. But paleontology in general, I think, is one of the more, and I'm using this word in the old-fashioned way, a very, like, romantic science. You know, not romantic like kissy-kissy, romantic like, it is. People see this and they think it's very adventurous, you know, like, oh, that sounds really cool. You know, right now, excavating dinosaur fossils, there's something almost cinematic about that. It's the reason why it makes, I think, a good subject for a live stream. So yeah, paleontology, to get back to my point, it is a very like public-facing science. People think it's really interesting, but also it's not too arcane. It's not too opaque. People understand the concept of excavating a fossil and trying to figure out what it is. You know, there's something intuitive about that. There's something. It's not too complex or too. It's not difficult to grasp. I'm not saying that paleontology is easy. It's not. In many ways, I think it's a far more complex science than some of the fields that deal with more cut and dry stuff. You know, I always make people angry when I say this, but paleontology is a lot more complicated and complex than, say, particle physics. We've got a lot more variables that we've got to work through than somebody dealing with the very basic building blocks of the universe. You know, this is not a science where things can be easily boiled down to a simple equation. It's more complex than that, you know, a lot more variables. But even with that being the case, with this science being as complex as it is, we heavily rely on the efforts of volunteers, members of the public, students, people who've never had, they've never done this kind of work before. They have no formal training. We can get you trained up in doing this sort of thing before too long, within a few days to weeks. It's accessible in that sense. Members of the public can get involved, and you at home can get involved too. If you excavating dinosaurs or working with fossils in a museum or in a laboratory, there are ways to do that. And I know that different folks have different levels of physical ability. People might live in a region where you don't have a museum nearby or something. So I'm not going to say that, make a blanket statement and say, oh, everybody can do this, because that's not necessarily true. But the point is that it's more accessible than you probably realize. We've got folks here on the crew who are doing this for the very first time, and they just sent an email and said, hey, I'm really interested in this. Could I come help out? Sometimes that's all it takes, So if you sitting there at home are thinking about getting involved with something like paleontology or some other field, maybe there's something you're really interested in and you've always kind of thought, well, it'd be really cool to do that, but maybe I don't have the right degree, or I don't have any formal training, or I don't know anybody in that field. Don't let that stop you from trying, I mean that very earnestly and sincerely. If there's something that you're interested in, try to pursue it, You never know where an email can get you, where just a simple conversation over the phone or via email or whatever, the doors that might open for you. Don't be afraid to ask. That's how I initially got onto this crew. I hadn't really worked with Don or Jim before. I knew about them. I've seen their names in the literature. I've talked to Jim at conferences before years ago, but I just sent him an email back in 2022 and I said, hey, I know you guys do field work on the regular, right? Could I come out and help? And they said, yeah. And I've been working out here for the past 5 years. I, of course, had formal training, so it was easy for them to say yes, but they've said yes for other people who have no training in this kind of thing. My point is, if you're passionate about something and you want to get involved, do it. I think that's the best piece of advice I could give anybody, So I hope that's helpful. Yeah. There's a real point to just asking, says Fate B. True. Yeah. And Atomic Sway had a question or something? I wish papers about paleontology were mostly locked behind paywalls. Me too. Oh boy, it's a problem. The science is often publicly funded, so it should be publicly available for free. But a lot of these journals kind of get in the way and act as middlemen and, But I think Charlie's Dragon there made a really good point. It is a nice life hack. Find the email address for the lead author, or what's called the corresponding author. In newer publications, there'll be a little envelope icon next to the name of the corresponding author. You click on that, it'll give you their email address. Send them an email and be like, hey, your paper sounds really cool, but it's behind a paywall. I'd love to read it, but I can't access it. Would you mind sending me a PDF? And only one time in my life have I had somebody who's replied and said no. And actually that was a journal editor. They were like, no, I don't care that you're an author on this paper, Danny. You still have to pay to read your own paper. I'm tempted to say the name of the journal, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be nice today. 9 times out of 10, if you get a reply at all, it'll be like, hey, thanks for your interest. Here's the PDF. Hope you enjoy it. Again, you go a long way with just asking. 9 times out of 10, researchers are flattered when members of the public email them and be like, hey, your work sounds really cool. I'd love to read it. We don't get paid by these journals to write these papers. In fact, sometimes it's a big pain in the butt to have to go through the whole journal process and everything. And sometimes we have difficulty accessing our own papers. We want people to be able to read our work. That's why we do it. We're trying to advance our field. We're trying to add to the sum total of human knowledge. I know that sounds like a big lofty thing, but We want people to be able to read our work. That robber fly is on my camera cable right now. Oh, oh, back to the same spot. Nice. Do you catch another one? Oh, look at you. Yeah, got another ant, looks like. Big, juicy one. Well done. Yeah. Robber fly friend. Yeah, nice. I don't relish the thought of ants getting eaten, but when we see that robber fly with a deer fly or a horse fly or some other kind of biting fly in its clutches, then we can cheer. Yeah. Anywho, scrolling. Yeah. Bug break too, yeah. Hey, let's get the magnifying glass. Oh, nope, there he goes. I'll have to go find another bug. Yeah. Let me get some more water. Let's see. And Ms. Blue Sky says, fun horsefly fact. I don't know how fun this is. Oh boy. They don't drink blood with a syringe like a proboscis. They cut a bowl-shaped wound and lap from it. I've experienced this before. 2011 was a really bad year for horseflies in the Hell Creek. Well, I guess it was good for them, except the ones that we squished. We had horseflies everywhere. And yeah, when they bite, that's not like a proboscis just sticking into you like a needle. That's them taking a chunk out of your flesh and then trying to drink whatever flows out of it. Ugh. Horseflies are not my favorite animals. Yeah. Robbie, I like that, Kira. Yeah, Robbie. I'll use that. Yeah. And where does the crew sleep tonight, as Gyroflex? We've all got tents that we brought with us from home. So we're just over there. You can maybe see camp from here. We've got the big like kitchen tents next to the trailer over there, big like portable garages. And we have our own personal tents that are kind of scattered throughout that part of the valley. And if those of us who drove here, we tend to park our own cars next to our own tents. So my Prius is right over there by my tent. Yeah. So no fancy hotels or anything for us. I'm not sure there is a fancy hotel anywhere in this whole county. But yeah, we sleep out here. This is how it works. Hotels would be way too expensive. And Papi says I'm surprised there's not a lot of birds out here. I've counted, I think, 6 birds within. So I think I've counted 6 birds out here in the past. Not a lot of birds in this valley.
Grim, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it might be the heat. They might be off.
Yeah.
Somewhere a little more temperate.
Yeah. There's not a lot to eat around here either, so
Yeah.
it's
I
a
mean,
pretty
we
dry,
have
desolate
lots
place.
of rock wrens. I've seen a few, but
Yeah.
I think, I don't know, between the being drier and maybe some West Nile or some viruses getting them. So I think it's kind of decimated some of the birds around. So.
Yowza. Yep.
Not fun.
Well, Don, you say you've seen like a trend over the last couple decades here.
Yeah, it's a little drier, a little more lifeless every year.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh boy. When we get Jim out here, he'll tell us a story about how, oh yeah, this whole valley used to have grass as high as a horse's belly.
Yeah. So we wouldn't have been finding any fossils then. So.
That's true. So we're kind of lucky it's been drier and drier here. So
desertification is good for that, but
yeah.
bad for everything else,
Yep.
unfortunately.
So yeah, this is the sort of place you'd send an ornithological expedition. But we got a question earlier from Bard Custom Leather. Thank you for reposting that, Claire. In your opinion, how many skeletons or bones do you think have gone undiscovered due to being built over by urban population or destroyed by excavation projects? Too many. A lot. I don't know how to put a number on that, but it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. There's certain places in the U.S. where by law, a construction project needs to have a paleontologist on site to help save any fossils that get uncovered during the excavation or construction. And that's maybe one of the most common ways for a paleontologist to make a living nowadays, is to work in remediation, or I've heard it called project paleontology, or I've heard it called paleomonitoring. So you go and you just monitor a site, and if they find something that they think is a fossil, they call you over. Or if they're digging in a sensitive area, you're there next to the bulldozer or next to the, excavation equipment, and you're looking for any bones they're digging through. A lot of younger paleontologists, that's how they make their living early on in their career. And then maybe after that, if they want to go the academic route, they see if they can get a job as an adjunct professor or something like that. Maybe a job opens up in a museum. But there are a lot of paleontologists nowadays who are they're on track to kind of make their whole career that, paleo monitoring. And it's something that some people do seasonally, or they do it all year round. Some people might do it for a year or two before moving on to other stuff. For other people, it's decades. But yeah, paleo monitoring or paleo remediation. It'd be interesting to see a survey of paleontologists, like how many of you work in museums versus work at a university versus work at, like in a monitoring capacity. But I think a lot of, especially younger paleontologists, are doing paleo monitoring nowadays. Yeah. And Pumpkin the Cat says there are some crazy stories of hero excavator operators who found something they thought looked interesting and called out. Oh yeah, absolutely. A famous case of that is Borealopelta, that incredible ankylosaur that was found up in Alberta, Canada. It was found in the Suncor mine. And the guy who was running the excavator one day, he had just been to the Royal Tyrrell Museum a few days before. So he kind of had dinosaurs on the brain. And he's like, I dig in rocks like this all the time. What if I were to see something? And sure enough, he saw something really important not long after that. And that was how Borealopelta got discovered. There's a lot more to that story too. Part of it a little heartbreaking, but the important part is he found that, he recognized it as something important, and he called paleontologists in, and now we have a new dinosaur. So it definitely does have a happy ending. Yeah, and hey, Lala Carpe Diem, thank you for the raid. Welcome to Paleontologizing. It's great to have you here. Yeah, welcome to Eastern Utah. Kind of near the town of Moab, out in the middle of the desert. Arches National Park is just over there, just beyond those ridges. We're working here with the Utah Geological Survey. The rock's about 142 million years old, excavating what should be a couple of new species of dinosaur here. So we're pretty excited about that. We're just at the beginning stages of our excavation this season, so we really just started digging in earnest like today. But yeah, so I haven't found much yet, but again, it's just the beginning. If you continue to watch over the next couple weeks, we'll be going through the beginning of August. I think our last day will be something like August 6th. And so we're going to find some cool stuff, and yeah, welcome. Let me know if you've got any questions. And there you go, Anded, yeah. And Lala Carpe Diem says, so awesome. I've always loved your content. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate the kind words. Thanks for bringing folks along on your adventure. Absolutely. No, this is my means of doing science outreach. Everybody's got questions about dinosaurs, about the fossil record, about the history of life on Earth. And this is how this work actually works, It's nice to be able to show people this firsthand. As the season goes on, I'll be in there doing more digging on camera, but we're very full in the quarry right now. We've got a big crew, not a lot of space. Digging in shifts in there. So, yeah, I'll do actual digging on camera later on, I assure you. Yeah. Thanks for bringing everybody here, Carpe Diem. How was your stream? I hope it was really good. What were you getting up to? And Fall on the Blink says you were saying new species of dinosaur last summer too. Did you ever find out if it was new or not? It is. It's currently being worked on. Yeah. In fact, we think we've probably got 2 new species from that site last year. So yeah. In fact, the critters that we're digging up here are probably the same thing as those new ones. So whatever we find here can help contribute to that. And we're hoping for a few really important bones from the skull in particular that would really help us out. So like if we could find a squamosal bone, oh boy, that could be a big deal. So yeah, the work continues. These things can take years or decades. This site here is called Jim's Place, and Don and the crew and Don and Jim and Karen and a few other people worked here from like I think 2007 through 2010, and then moved on to other spots. And now we're back here. Stuff started to peter off over there, peter out, less frequent. So we decided to move back here, and already finding a few bits of bones, and we're just starting off. So that's a good sign. But yeah, excavations can take years. Studying the fossils themselves can take years or even decades in some cases. Too many cases. So these things take time. Yeah. But yeah. Where do you buy a hat like that? This is military surplus here. This U.S. Marines issue for hot weather climates. Yeah, it might be, I was never in the military, but I have friends and colleagues who were. I want to say it's not drill instructors, but is it like the marksmanship instructors? They wear these. That's just become like a tradition. But these were originally developed for hot weather climates. This is not a pith helmet, it's a sun helmet. But the nice thing about this is not only does it shade you from the sun, but when there's a breeze, it'll funnel the air over your head, kind of direct it over, help cool you off, which is why I've got it. This is a really practical piece of headgear, which is why it was military issue for the U.S. military and also for the North Vietnamese Army and the Viet Cong. They wore these too. So does the U.S. Postal Service. Mail carriers will wear these in hot climates. It's just, it might have certain connotations to it, a sun helmet, but it's a superbly effective piece of headgear in hot weather. Helps keep you cool. This is a zillion times better than my leather hat that I wear when I'm in cooler climates doing field work. So yeah, when it gets hot out, that's when this comes out. Passive cooling hat, exactly, Cozy Kestrel, yeah. Yeah. Anywho. Yeah, what is the current temperature? It feels a bit cooler now than it was before. Let's see. Oh, we're down to 99 Fahrenheit. Very nice. Positively. And if it's good enough for the USPS, it's good enough for me. Yeah. And Gyroflex says it's heavy, it makes you sweat. No, this is really lightweight. Really lightweight. I'd say this weighs, I don't know, 1/10 of a kilo or something. It's just made of pressed fiber. Like it's really lightweight. Yeah. Oh, the leather hat. Yeah, the leather hat is heavier than this and definitely does make you sweat, yeah. And it's not breathable in the same way. There's a nice layer of air between my head and the helmet. So it's a nice thing to have. Yeah. And is that Nerduino in the chat? Medium rare? You joke, Nerduino, but other people joke too. As the only vegetarian on the crew, people talk. They go, well, you know, Danny, you don't eat meat, so that means you have fewer heavy metals in your system. You're lower on the trophic web. If we have to eat somebody, it makes sense that we'd have to eat you. Oh no, not again. Yeah. And Jay Burner says, what's your opinion on that T-Rex that sold for $50 million? The whole thing is a farce. Oh my goodness. Whoever paid $50 million for it. It's not clear how complete that thing was. I don't even know if they had any of the skull bones. So it's mostly reconstructed. It does not cost even a tiny fraction of that to dig up a dinosaur like that. Tyrannosaurus is not particularly rare. It's like the second or third most common dinosaur in the Hell Creek Formation. The whole thing is, it would be hilarious if it weren't so depressing. The idea that, you know, commercial groups like this are commodifying what should be scientific specimens. When that's the biggest story about dinosaurs in the news is, oh, this dinosaur skeleton sold for $50 million. It's ridiculous, you know? I don't know. Whoever bought that did not know what they got. Scammed! Holy cow. They should be deeply, deeply embarrassed. That's my opinion. Yeah, Nerdowino says, that was me. Did I not get a good deal? I'm sorry, Nerdowino. No, you should ask for your money back. That's the crazy thing, is that, like, excavating the dinosaurs that we're excavating here, this cost maybe a few $1,000s for like 3 weeks of work. That's food, that's fuel, that's supplies, that's everything except for wages for the couple of people who are getting paid by the state of Utah. This is an all-volunteer crew except for them, including me. I'm volunteering here. It costs maybe a few $1,000s to dig up a dinosaur, maybe, in a lot of cases. For $50 million, you could build a dinosaur museum and have an endowment that will fund it in perpetuity, you know, for time immemorial. It's an incredible waste to just blow that much money on one crummy specimen. So whoever bought that, I don't know what they were thinking. They probably weren't thinking at all. Don't get me started. Anyway, they're packing up, taking down the shade tarps now, so we're going to wrap up here pretty soon. Atomic Sweet says Tyrannosaur fossils overall are overhyped. It's crazy. I agree, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. And there you go, Pumpkin the cat. Yeah. Some billionaire that bought it. Probably Jay Burner, yeah.
Oh man, you know what's even better is when you find a dress without pockets. It's like best of both worlds.
Have they not? I haven't even looked at this yet. I haven't had a chance to. We've been so busy. And, you know, we've been getting our excavation underway here. I haven't even had a chance to read an article about that yet.
Yes.
But yeah, if they haven't made it public who purchased it, it probably was a private buyer. Like, probably not a museum. Museums generally do not have anything close to that kind of money to start with, unless they get like a huge donation from a private donor. So yeah, that thing will probably never be scientifically available for stuff. Like, it's just going to disappear into some billionaire's compound somewhere. We'll never see it again. That's my guess. Kennedy says, no, I'm glad Nerdowino outbid me. Oh no, Kennedy. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I want to help with takedown here, so let's wrap up this stream, and I can help clean everything up. Let's find somebody to raid into. Don't go away just yet. We're gonna see if we can continue our science here. Here we go. Watch, that's not working. Come on, Twitch. Why are you not working properly? Home, there we go. Following. Who is on? Who's doing some science?
I'm gonna put it over here. It'll probably taste better to you now.
Yeah. More like Coke.
Pickings might be a little bit slim right now. No science, no Casey Snow Art. We're gonna go right into.
I don't know. I think we make ourselves sound
Alveus Sanctuary, why don't we? That'll be good. They're a good go-to. Here we go. Raid. Alveus Sanctuary. Excellent. Yeah. And they have a follower or subscriber only chat, but some of you might know about them already. If you don't, they're an animal sanctuary, do all kinds of cool outreach and conservation work, and I'm really proud that they're also here on this platform with me. I'm honored to share a platform like Twitch with such a cool organization, so we'll go right into them. Everybody, thank you for being here today. Thank you for your viewership. I know the internet is a big place. You could be just about anywhere, but you've been here hanging out with us at a dinosaur dig, so I'm grateful for that. Thank you for your financial support, those of you who subscribe or gift subscriptions and cheer and all that other stuff. Donate on Ko-Fi. Thank you again, Generic Spinoff. Really appreciate your donation. We'll be doing some more invasion tomorrow, same time, same place. So I hope you tune in then. It's going to be 7 days a week from here on out for the next 3 weeks. Weather and other conditions permitting. But for now, time to go right into Alveus Sanctuary. Take care, everybody, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.